Chapter 10:19. Ning Shu let out a sigh of relief when he heard Xiao Cao's words. If she needed energy endlessly, he wouldn't be able to support her. Xiao Cao, don't absorb everything you see in the future, okay? Ning Shu said. There were so many magic crystals in the shops on the street. If Xiao Cao went crazy and absorbed them, he would be speechless. Ning Shu didn't think that the current Xiao Cao was very strong. This world was full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Why? Xiao Cao asked in confusion. When Ning Shu heard her voice, he could imagine a little lowly standing in front of him with a face full of question marks. Because they might kill you, Ning Shu said. If they can't kill me, can they absorb me? Xiao Cao asked again. Ning Shu was speechless. That depends on the specific situation. Ning Shu rubbed his eyebrows. For example, if you kill a wild magical beast, you can absorb it after killing it. Ning Shu explained patiently, also, if someone wants to hurt you and threaten your life, you can kill them and absorb them. If they don't offend me, I won't offend them. Oh. Xiao Cao didn't quite understand and said, oh. Also, if you can't beat them, you have to run, okay? Where there's life, there's hope. Find a chance to kill them in the future. Ning Shu tirelessly taught Xiao Cao. I don't understand. Xiao Cao said in confusion. Ning Shu took a deep breath. Take it slow. The next day, the final competition continued. Those who could enter the top 200 were all relatively strong. Release your summoned beast. Are you going to fight me and my summoned beast alone? The girl standing opposite Ning Shu frowned. Beside her stood a summoned beast that looked like a fox. Ning Shu nodded and released Xiao Cao. It was only a palm-sized grass. It didn't show a ferocious face. It was just an ordinary grass. This is your summoned beast? The girl pointed at the grass with a strange expression. You want to use a blade of grass to fight me? Master, let me wrap her up and plant grass on her body. Xiao Cao's cute voice sounded vicious. Shut up. Just stay aside. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Spirit Fox, go. Upon receiving its master's order, the Spirit Fox quickly pounced towards Ning Shu. Ling Hu's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he already dashed in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu tilted his head to evade Ling Hu's attack. In an instant, Ling Hu disappeared and reappeared behind Ning Shu. Ning Shu abruptly turned around and extended both hands to grab Ling Hu's neck. However, her hand had also been scratched by Ling Hu, and blood was oozing out. Master, let me hold her back. When Xiao Cao saw that Ning Shu was injured, she started to make a fuss again. Ning Shu threw Ling Hu out of the arena. Ling Hu whimpered twice and couldn't get up. You dare to treat my spirit fox like this? The girl raised her eyebrows and glared at Ning Shu. She clenched her fists and rushed over to Ning Shu. A summoner's power came from their summoned beasts. This girl's martial arts were not a match for Ning Shu at all. In an instant, Ning Shu grabbed her wrist and put her behind her back. The girl struggled. Let go of me. Yu Shuang wins. The teacher shouted. Ning Shu let go of the girl's arm. The girl angrily left the arena and picked up Ling Hu. She glared at Ning Shu and left. Ning Shu wiped his wound with a handkerchief and returned to his seat. Drink this. Teacher Wen took out a bottle of medicine and gave it to Ning Shu. Thank you, teacher. Ning Shu drank a mouthful and felt incomparably cool. It was very different from the inferior medicine that was spicy to the throat. After drinking the medicine, the bleeding from his wound gradually stopped. To be able to enter the top 200 is beyond my expectations. To be able to reach this point, you are much stronger than many others. Teacher Wen gently said. Thank you, teacher. Ning Shu smiled and turned to look at the situation of the other arena stages. He saw Muziki. Muziki's strength was quite formidable, especially his summoned beast. It could even breathe fire. Fire restrained wood. One had to be extremely careful when fighting it. Lien Frost Dream had won with a trail of sparks and lightning. The match was like a game to her. She didn't use any strength at all. It was likely that Teacher Wen's words had some effect. Lien Frost Dream's summoned beast, the flesh-winged dragon, didn't pluck out all of its fur. However, the other summons were still like a game. Lien Frost Dream had a helpless expression. As soon as Lien Frost Dream left the arena stage, someone brought her water. Ning Shu went up to fight several more matches. Like before, Ning Shu defeated his opponents. Little Grass watched from the side. Ning Shu didn't want Little Grass to be exposed so quickly. He didn't want others to be on guard against her, especially Lien Frost Dream. What left Ning Shu speechless was that one of his opponent's summoned beasts was extremely large. It was as heavy as an elephant, and Ning Shu had to expend a great deal of effort to bring it down. He was sweating profusely. "You are simply..." His opponent looked at Ning Shu, stunned. He didn't think that Ning Shu would have such great strength that he could bring down such a heavy summoned beast. "You Shuang victory!" The teacher shouted out as he looked at the fallen elephant. Ning Shu left the arena stage. Lien Frost Dream looked at Ning Shu with surprise. "How can you be so strong?" "I was born with it," Ning Shu said with a smile. "How come I didn't know?" Lien Frost Dream narrowed her eyes. After thinking for a while, she couldn't recall any information about Yu Shuang's infinite strength. "Not bad. You might even be able to reach the top 100. Teacher Wen nodded, pleased. Lien Frost Dream's complexion was a bit ugly. "I was worried about you, but in the end you didn't tell me about your innate divine strength." "You didn't ask." Lien Frost Dream's complexion became even uglier. "Who would know about your innate divine strength? You've never shown it in front of anyone, you've really hidden it well. No wonder you didn't accept my gifts. With this strength, you can even lift up a summoned beast. It doesn't matter if the summoned beast is small or weak." Lien Frost Dream stroked the flesh-winged dragon. "You've never treated me as a friend." Yu Shuang had deliberately hidden this from her. "I don't usually have the chance to show off my strength, so it's normal that you don't know. Also, everyone has their own secrets." Ning Shu couldn't bear to see Lien Frost Dream like this. He didn't know if it was because she was dissatisfied with her victory or something else. Perhaps it was because she saw a weak person who needed her pity suddenly become a bit stronger, causing her to be surprised and unhappy. "The truth is, I've always been curious. You weren't able to summon any summoned beasts before, so how did you manage to summon so many of them? How did you do it?" Ning Shu stared at Lien Frost Dream. Lien Frost Dream's eyes flickered. "Didn't you say that everyone has their own secrets? Why can't I have my own secrets? The rumors about me being trash were all false." Lien Frost Dream picked up the flesh-winged dragon and left. She didn't want to sit with Ning Shu anymore. Mu Ziki happened to be looking for her, so the two of them left together. Chapter 1020. Ning Shu had triumphantly advanced all the way to the top 100. She had relied on her own brute strength. From beginning to end, Little Grass hadn't made a single move. Ning Shu had become the greatest dark horse of this tournament. No one had thought that a trash summoner like Ning Shu would rely on her own strength to enter the top 100. Although they were surprised, most people thought that Ning Shu would stop here. In the end, a person couldn't compare to a summoned beast. Sometimes, strength wasn't enough. The further one went, the more powerful the summoned beasts would be. They estimated that Ning Shu would be able to instantly kill them. Ning Shu didn't care. In any case, she still had some strength left over. She could rely on herself to enter the top 50 without relying on Little Grass. Mentor Wen was a bit surprised. Some of the students that he had high hopes for had been eliminated, but Ning Shu had actually advanced. "Very good." Mentor Wen warmly praised Ning Shu. "Thank you, Mentor." Ning Shu smiled. She was sure that she could enter the top 50. She couldn't miss the opportunity to defeat Lien Frost Dream in a fair and square manner. As long as she defeated Lien Frost Dream, she could be considered free from Lien Frost Dream's friendship kidnapping. Mr. Wen leaned back in his chair and looked at the competition in the ring. He shook his head and said, "The drawbacks of a summoner have been shown. Everything depends on the summoned beast. The summoned beast not only has to fight with the enemy, but also has to protect its master. Once something happens to the summoned beast, the summoner will have no power to resist." Mentor Wen sighed. "Some summoners also practice martial arts." Ning Shu said. Mentor Wen shook his head. "Only a summoner is noble. Many people disdain to practice martial arts. Besides, a martial arts master is just a bit of martial arts. Ning Shu's expression was light. How come this world didn't have a cultivation method similar to internal strength? Her peerless martial arts would definitely be able to shine in this world. At that time, she would also have the power of faith. Ning Shu felt refreshed just thinking about it. Does Mentor Wen also practice martial arts? Ning Shu asked. He couldn't imagine the gentle Mentor Wen rolling up his sleeves and lifting a stone dumpling. Mentor Wen nodded. Ning Shu imagined Mentor Wen taking off his shirt to train. Tsk, tisk, what are you talking about? You look so happy. Even Frost Dream sat down. Ning Shu said, I never thought that you would be able to enter the top 100. Congratulations, your martial arts are quite good. Let's exchange moves on the arena. Okay. Ning Shu nodded. He remembered that Frost Dream seemed to know ancient martial arts. When he was a mercenary in the modern era, her master was someone from an ancient martial arts family. When the ancient martial arts were cultivated to the extreme, even flying flowers and leaves could be used to hurt people. Grass, trees, bamboo, and stones could all be used as swords. There were very few people that knew that Lien Frost Dream was an ancient martial artist. They just didn't know what boundary she had reached. Lien Frost Dream narrowed her eyes and stared at Ning Shu for a moment. As Ning Shu and Lien Frost Dream stared at each other, Lien Frost Dream was the first to look away. She turned to Mentor Wen and said, Mentor, there is something I would like to ask you. Tell me, what is it? Teacher Wen asked gently. Lien Frost Dream glanced at Ning Shu. Ning Shu stood up, intending to get some water to drink. It was as if he wanted to hear her speak. Ning Shu went to the entrance of the academy to buy some water and some snacks to eat. From the corner of his eyes, he saw a young man speaking to Muziki. He didn't know what the young man said, but Muziki's face became much more ferocious. His eyes turned red and his fists clenched. As Ning Shu saw Muziki like this, he began to guess what had happened. In an instant, Ning Shu thought of the young miss of the Mu family who had died under the cannibal tree. Could it be that the young miss had a good relationship with Muziki? In any case, she had already destroyed the evidence. It was impossible to trace it back to her. Ning Shu gnawed on the snacks as he looked at Muziki. Muziki's eyes were red as he waved his hand, indicating for the young man to leave. The hunchbacked young man quickly ran away. Muziki wiped away his tears and smashed his fist against the wall. "Oh, just how painful was that?" Ning Shu smacked his lips. Muziki turned around and saw a woman staring at him. She ignored Ning Shu and was about to enter the academy. Then, she turned around and stared at Ning Shu. She actually walked over to Ning Shu and stood in front of him, looking down at Ning Shu. Ning Shu swallowed the snack in his mouth. "What are you doing? Did you see everything just now?" Muziki's expression was cold as he frowned. Ning Shu shook his head. "I didn't see anything." Damn, he was venting his anger on her. She was just a passerby, don't go overboard. "Why are you following me?" Muziki said in a low voice. Ning Shu. Damn, he was deliberately looking for trouble, right? "I didn't, let me tell you. What's your name again? I won't like you even if I die. Don't be delusional," Muziki said with disdain. Ning Shu. Damn, he was feeling uncomfortable, so he wanted to poke at someone else's heart. This bastard was clearly doing this on purpose. "If I find out that you're following me again, I'll kill you," Muziki coldly said. Don't appear in front of me again. Otherwise, I won't let you see tomorrow's sun." Muziki turned and walked away. Ning Shu. Damn, can't you let her finish speaking? She hadn't even said a complete sentence. Ning Shu said Amitba, wishing her a heartbroken death. Ning Shu finished his snack and entered the academy. He returned to his seat, not even bothering to say anything to Teacher Wen. He had a reserved and beautiful smile on his face as he looked at Teacher Wen's side profile. Ning Shu stared at the battle stage. He saw Muziki on one of the stages. Muziki seemed as if he had been stimulated. All of his opponents were covered in wounds. Not only did he have his own summoned beast cripple his opponent's summoned beast, but he also went on stage to violently beat up his opponent. His opponent hurriedly admitted defeat, pitifully crying out to the referee for help. To be Muziki's opponent was simply 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Several students were severely beaten up by Muziki. After beating someone up, Muziki threw 2 bottles of high-level potions at them, coldly saying that although this was a trial, it was inevitable that there would be times when he made a mistake. Muziki was much stronger than his opponent, so how could he make a mistake? His opponent picked up the potions on the ground and glared at Muziki. Then he limped down the stage with his summoned beast. Muziki felt sad. He had taken out his anger on others. As long as a student fought with Muziki, they would tremble in fear. Some people directly forfeited. The current Muziki was terrifying. He had a gloomy and evil aura around him, as if he had some deep grudge. As Frost Dream saw Muziki like this, she quickly went to find him. She probably went to comfort Muziki. Ning Shu only hoped that she wouldn't meet Muziki in the top 50. Muziki clearly needed someone to vent his anger on. She didn't want to join in. She didn't want to reveal her trump card so quickly. If she revealed her trump card too early, she wouldn't have any advantage. Now, others would think that she was a strong and barbaric girl. At that time, she would be able to catch them off guard. Chapter 1021. Muziki's mentor didn't want Muziki to embarrass himself too much. If he won, then everything would be fine. Muziki's face paled, as if he hadn't heard the mentor's words at all. The mentor had no other choice. After all, this was the student he was most proud of. Moreover, his family background was amazing. His grandfather was one of the pillars of the empire. Muziki, what's wrong? Lien Frost Dream found Muziki and asked with concern. Muziki wiped his face and said in a downcast voice, "My big sister died in the family smelting trial." This. Lien Frost Dream was surprised. How did she die? The family only found her clothes. Her corpse was already absorbed by the man-eating tree. Muziki's eyes were red. She is my blood-related big sister. Lien Frost Dream comforted Muziki, gently saying, "The weather is unpredictable and people are uncertain. Your big sister doesn't want you to be so sad. My big sister isn't weak and she also has a family elder by her side. It's impossible for her to die so easily. The family is currently investigating the cause of her death. Do you suspect that there is another reason for your big sister's death?" Lien Frost Dream asked. "But we don't even have a corpse. How are we supposed to investigate?" "With the Mu family's strength, we should be able to find out." Muziki let out a long breath. He looked at Lien Frost Dream's beautiful face. "Thank you for comforting me. I just can't accept that my big sister died so suddenly." "It's fine, we are partners. Your pain is my pain. Everyone will bear it together." Lien Frost Dream patted Muziki's shoulder. "You have to pull yourself together." "Thank you." Muziki looked at Lien Frost Dream, his eyes filled with love and warmth. Ning Shu was praying that he wouldn't run into Muziki. But the result was that he would run into Muziki in the top 100 matches. Next match, Muziki against Yu Shuangshuang. Ning Shu felt sick all over. "Shuangshuang, Muziki's big sister has passed away. If anything happens, please bear with it." Ning Shu was about to go on stage when Lien Frost Dream pulled back Ning Shu, speaking to Ning Shu. "Ning Shu. Exercise. What did that mean?" "So?" Ning Shu asked. "Take this." Lien Frost Dream stuffed a bottle of medicine into Ning Shu's hand. Muziki's older sister is dead. She is Muziki's blood-related older sister. If Muziki did something excessive, would you be able to understand? You like him, so you should be able to understand just how sad he is right now. Even Frost Dream Ning Shu earnestly said. "Ning Shu, what was the meaning of this? Could it be that she should be taught a lesson by Muziki to vent her anger? If Muziki died, what did it have to do with her? Even if the entire family died, it had nothing to do with her. And if I don't understand?" Ning Shu's face was indifferent. He tilted his head and looked at Lien Frost Dream. Even Frost Dream froze for a moment. She frowned and said, "He is in a sad state right now." "It's none of my business." Ning Shu said unhappily, "I know that he's much stronger than me, And I still have to thank you for your medicine? Why didn't you persuade him to control his emotions? So what if I died? Others didn't owe him anything, so why should he vent his anger on others? Don't you like him? Why can't you understand what he's feeling right now? That's his blood-related big sister. Lien Frost Dream said. I just don't understand. Was there something wrong with her head? Yu Shuangshuang has gone on stage. The mentor on stage shouted out. But Mu Ziqi's face was dark from beginning to end. Go on stage and do your best. This competition is not child's play. Mentor Wen frowned as he spoke to Ning Shu. Ning Shu stepped onto the stage and stared at Mu Ziqi. Mu Ziqi's mood wasn't good to begin with. If it weren't for the academy's competition, he would have already returned home. Mu Ziqi also wanted to obtain the academy's resources. He had heard that the rewards for first place were extremely rich, so he had to obtain them no matter what. Now that Mu Ziqi saw that his opponent was Ning Shu, his complexion was extremely ugly. He frowned, impatience filling his face. Just set him on fire, how annoying. Mu Ziqi said to his summoned beast. If it were any other opponent, Mu Ziqi would still go up and beat them up. But facing Ning Shu, Mu Ziqi's heart was filled with impatience and disgust. He didn't even want to beat him up. Especially when he saw Lin Ming's miserable appearance at the entrance of the academy, as well as his confession. Why didn't Lin Ming take a look at himself? Mu Ziqi's summoned beast was similar to his big sister's summoned beast. It was a large and beautiful bird. It looked like a phoenix, but it wasn't a phoenix that could be reborn in flames. Rather, it was a Luan. If it could be reborn in flames, then perhaps it could evolve into a phoenix. Mu Ziqi's Luan let out a clear cry and flew into the air. It opened its beak and spat out a long flame dragon at Ning Shu. Ning Shu quickly dodged, but the flame still touched his cuffs. Ning Shu quickly patted his cuffs, but the flame simply couldn't be extinguished. The flame fiercely burned on the ground, a raging inferno. Looking at Mu Ziqi in front of him, Ning Shu jumped over the flame and raised his fist to smash at Mu Ziqi. Mu Ziqi saw Ning Shu charging at him and sneered. Does he really think he's so great just because he has a little strength? Mu Ziqi took a step back and closed his eyes. He summoned another summoned beast, the Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull. The Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull's body seemed to be made of rock. It mooed as soon as it appeared and charged at Ning Shu with its horn on its head. If he was really hit by the Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull, then he would lose half his life. If he didn't die, then he would be crippled. Mu Ziqi was really ruthless. Ning Shu wouldn't collide with a bull. He dodged the Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull's attack and grabbed the bull's horn to sit on its back. The Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull jumped, wanting to throw Ning Shu off. Ning Shu tightly held onto the bull's horn and circulated the qi in his body. The qi entered his dantian and with the horn in his hand, he threw the Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull onto the ground. Then he threw it on the ground with all his might. The Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull smashed onto the ground and created a dent in the stage. Moo! The Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull cried out mournfully. Ning Shu's heart was filled with anger as she used all her strength to smash the bull. She then threw the bull away and smashed it towards Mu Ziqi. Mu Ziqi's expression was a little dazed. However, he reacted quickly and recalled his summoned beast. The people below the stage were all stunned. How much strength was needed to throw a bull around for fun? Chirp chirp. The Luan Feng that was flying in the air flew down. Mu Ziqi jumped on the back of the Luan Feng and flew into the air, looking down at Ning Shu. Perhaps he knew that Ning Shu was strong, but strength was useless in this situation. Teach him a lesson. I can't let him off so easily. Mu Ziqi's expression was a little sinister. His Iron-Winged Spirit Rock Bull was heavily injured. Did he think that he could win with just a little strength? Naive. Chapter 1022. The Luan Feng cried out. It raised its head and spat out a blazing flame at Ning Shu. What the Luan Feng spat out wasn't fire, but more like burning magma. When it fell to the ground, even the arena began to corrode. Almost the entire arena was engulfed in a sea of fire. If Ning Shu wanted to avoid it, she would have to leave the arena. But if she left the arena, she would lose this match. Ning Shu frowned. Her current peerless martial arts weren't enough to allow her to fly. She needed to turn her energy into a golden color before she could fly. Master, let me do it. Little Grass's voice sounded out in Ning Shu's mind. There's fire here, can you do it? Fire was the bane of wood. Master, let me try. Fire is also a type of energy. I can try to absorb it. Little Grass said in a soft voice. Ning Shu, he didn't know why, but he always felt that Little Grass would never be full. All right, you can try. He couldn't lose like this. If he lost, then he wouldn't be able to enter the finals to fight Frost Dream. Little Grass floated around Ning Shu. She stretched out her vines, twisting them into the shape of a chair. She stretched out her vines and pulled on Ning Shu's waist, making him sit on the chair. The vines continued to grow, sending Ning Shu into the air. Send you to the heavens? Ning Shu sat on the chair like a queen. The vines on the chair began to grow leaves and flower buds. The flower buds instantly bloomed, beautiful and magnificent. Ning Shu looked as if he were sitting on a chair made of flowers. Ning Shu, oh yeah, this pretentious act was pretty good. Ning Shu crossed his legs and leaned back. He tilted his chin up and looked at Mu Ziki across from him. Mu Ziki stared at the vines in a daze. He never thought that Ning Shu would have such a summoned beast. Ning Shu pretended to be calm, but he anxiously asked in his heart, how is it? Fire greatly restrained Little Grass, who had the wood attribute. It hurts a lot. Xiao Qiao softly said, but I can endure it. I'll try to absorb energy. In the future, I won't be afraid of fire anymore. Ning Shu, who was sitting on the flower chair, shocked a lot of people, especially the students who were familiar with Ning Shu. They couldn't help but rub their eyes. This was not the Yu Shuangshuang they knew. Yu Shuangshuang's summoned beast was a blade of grass. But when did this blade of grass become so strong? Or did Yu Shuangshuang summon a new summoned beast? Lien Frost Dream stared at Ning Shu on the arena stage. She sat in her chair, her eyes filled with arrogance and contempt. This wasn't the self-conscious and sensitive Yu Shuangshuang. Yu Shuangshuang's strength was already beyond her expectations, but she didn't expect her to have such a powerful summoned beast. She was really good at enduring. She didn't even summon her summoned beast in the beginning. She relied on her own brute force to get through. Yu Shuangshuang could be considered one of the strongest in the academy with her powerful summoned beast and her innate strength. Lien Frost Dream's complexion was a bit ugly. In particular, as she saw Teacher Wen straighten his back and look at Ning Shu, her complexion became even uglier. Lien Frost Dream felt as if she had been betrayed. Yu Shuangshuang didn't say anything to her and hid everything from her. She had pitied Yu Shuangshuang and tried to cover for her. But in the end, Yu Shuangshuang was so strong that it made her actions seem laughable. She guessed that Yu Shuangshuang was secretly laughing at her in her heart. Lien Frost Dream felt her cheeks heat up. She stared at Ning Shu on the flower chair. What was the point of hiding things like this? Mu Ziki's expression became serious. He no longer thought of Ning Shu as someone he could casually bully. The Luan Phoenix beneath Mu Ziki's feet spat out flames. Before Ning Shu could move, Xiao Qiao had already swung her chair so that Ning Shu could avoid the attack. Xiao Qiao stretched out many vines towards Mu Ziki, wanting to wrap around the man and bird. As the Luan Phoenix saw the vines reach towards it, it flapped its wings and flew away. It also spat out flames towards the vines. The vines were roasted by the flames, turning pitch black. The leaves and flowers on the vines withered. Ning Shu felt his heart twitch as he looked at this. Although some of the vines had been burned to charcoal, there were still many more that reached out. Chirp, 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 chirp. The Luan Phoenix cried out, constantly dodging the vines that were attacking it. Mu Ziki was squatting on top of the Luan Phoenix so that he wouldn't fall off. He looked a bit distressed. Although the two sides were in a deadlock, Ning Shu was still sitting in his chair, leisurely. He even picked a flower and smelled it. It was as if he had come for an outing. As Mu Ziki saw Ning Shu like this, he felt powerless. He finally understood what it was like to be bullied by him. Mu Ziki still couldn't believe that this weak person had suddenly become so powerful. It was as if he had seen an ant that he could easily crush suddenly turn into a giant dragon. The Luan Phoenix continued to spit fire at the vines. It seemed that because it kept spitting fire, it had lost a lot of energy. Even its beautiful feathers had become a lot dimmer. As for Xiao Qiao, the more she fought in the flames, the braver she became. She began to absorb the energy in the flames. Ning Shu asked Xiao Qiao in his mind, "Can you hold on?" "I can hold on, but it hurts a lot." Xiao Cao's voice sounded like she was about to cry. She sniffled and endured the pain, causing Ning Shu's heart to soften. "If you really can't hold on, then let's retreat first." "It's okay, I can hold on," Xiao Qiao softly said. Xiao Qiao stretched out her vines towards the Luan Phoenix. The vines were burned to a crisp by the flames, but they didn't give up, as if they wanted to drag the two people down. The competition arena was silent. Everyone held their breath as they stared at the battle on stage. Even Frost Dream frowned as she saw Muziki at a disadvantage. She carefully looked at Ning Shu, who was leisurely sitting on a flower chair. The more she looked at him, the more unfamiliar he seemed. Was Yu Shuangshuang like this? Even Frost Dream suspected that Yu Shuangshuang had transmigrated like herself. It seemed that she needed to test her waters. The battle continued. One side sat steadily on the stage while the other side was a bit tired. The Luan Phoenix was a bit careless and its reaction was half a beat too slow, causing the vines to wrap around its body. "Master, I caught?" Xiao Qiao pulled down the Luan Phoenix and Muziki, not forgetting to ask for credit from Ning Shu. "Master, can I take out that thing that can fly? I don't want to eat that thing that has the same legs as Master. Can I just eat that thing that can fly?" Xiao Qiao asked Ning Shu in her cute and childish voice. You can't eat that." Ning Shu smiled. Xiao Qiao gave a disappointed sound. As for Muziki and his summoned beast, they were unable to move because of the vines. Muziki's eyes were red as he struggled with all his strength, but he ended up chafing his skin. Ning Shu sat on a chair, propping up his chin as he looked down at Muziki. He felt extremely refreshed. She had wanted to torture Muziki for a long time, and today she had finally found the opportunity. "Master, let me eat him," Xiao Qiao immediately said. "That is the best punishment for him. It will also provide me with energy." "Ning Shu, can you have some goals in life? Don't just think about eating all day." Ning Shu grumpily said. "Then what should I think about?" Xiao Qiao asked in confusion. Chapter 1023. Ning Shu looked at Muziki, who was extremely unconvinced, and directly said to Xiao Qiao, "Beat him up." Little Grass sounded confused. "Use your vines to whip him. It's fine as long as you don't whip him to death," Ning Shu said as he played with the flower in his hand. Little Grass raised her vines and began to whip Muziki. Muziki felt as if his skin and flesh were about to split open and he groaned in pain. Little Grass seemed to have found something fun and excitedly whipped Muziki. Soon, Muziki was covered in wounds. His clothes were torn and blood seeped out. Even Muziki's summoned beast, the Luan Feng, was whipped many times. The Luan Feng whimpered and looked extremely pitiful. Muziki bitterly looked up at Ning Shu and then put away his summoned beast. His two summoned beasts were already injured. It would take some time for them to recover and he wouldn't be able to continue participating in the competition. Ning Shu smiled. "I really like your current expression. I like to step on you, I like to see you struggle, I like to crush you like a gardenia flower. I like to see you hate me but can't kill me." But another vine hit his body. Muziki's face twisted in pain. He shouted towards the instructor, "I admit defeat. Yu Shuangshuang wins." The instructor quickly shouted. Little Grass slowly descended with Ning Shu in her arms. Ning Shu stood up from his chair and walked in front of Muziki. Muziki's clothes were torn and the torn areas were stained with blood. His face was covered in sweat and his hair was wet. He had a tyrannical beauty to him. When paired with his handsome face, it caused one's heart to stir. Ning Shu's heart began to stir. He really wanted to beat him to death. Ning Shu threw the medicine that Frost Dream had given him to Muziki. Muziki looked up at Ning Shu with red eyes, as if he had been humiliated to the extreme. His face was so twisted that it was unbearable to look at. Although this is a trial, it's inevitable that there will be mistakes. Take this medicine, Ning Shu said in a kind tone. When Muziki heard this, his face turned green. Student, untie the vines, Instructor Ning Shu said. Oh right, I almost forgot. Ning Shu nodded and had Xiaoqiao put away the vines. Little grass floated beside Ning Shu. It looked like an ordinary grass. But now, no one thought that he was an ordinary grass. Ning Shu left the stage and walked towards his seat. The people in front of Ning Shu silently made way for him as they stared at the stalk of grass beside Ning Shu. Lien Frost Dream stood in front of Ning Shu, blocking his path. Ning Shu and her stared at each other. You Shuang, don't you think you went a bit too far just now? Even Frost Dream disapprovingly said. Ning Shu was expressionless. How is it too much? You were just deliberately humiliating him. Lien Frost Dream indignantly said. I didn't. Didn't Muziki do the same thing before? Humiliating someone and then throwing a high-level medicine at them. Oh, if Muziki could do that, then she couldn't. Even Frost Dream sighed. Didn't I tell you that his big sister has already passed away? It's fine if you defeated him, but he's already been tied up by you, so why are you still whipping him? It's lucky that you like him. You don't even know what he's feeling in his heart. Lien Frost Dream looked at Ning Shu. You were too arrogant just now. No, I only whipped Muziki. I didn't whip anyone else. Ning Shu smiled. If it weren't for Xiaoqiao, then she might have been disfigured or she might have lost the duel. Why did Muziki take everything for granted? He even chose to ignore Frost Dream. She couldn't do that. Whatever his own people did was right, and what others did was wrong. I really can't get through to you. Lien Frost Dream shook her head. I formally challenge you now. Muziki is my companion, so I have the right to seek justice for him. Muziki was being carried off the arena stage on a stretcher. As he heard Lien Frost Dream's words, he looked at her in a daze. Then he smiled at her as if he were touched by her words. Ning Shu. You Shuang, since you're so fierce now, you should accept my challenge. Lien Frost Dream said. What a fucking psychopath. Ning Shu was left speechless. Why should I accept your challenge? Even Frost Dream, do you think you're living in your own fantasy world? Ning Shu grumpily said. Lien Frost Dream was stunned. The previous Yu Shuang would never speak to her like this. She really did think that strength gave her confidence. I have to seek justice for my companion, otherwise others will think that the people of our mercenary group can be casually bullied. Lien Frost Dream's expression turned cold as she stared at Ning Shu. This is the academy and this is only an academy competition. When did I bully Muziki? Didn't Muziki say that it's hard to avoid mistakes in a competition? Now you're using this to cause trouble for me. Lien Frost Dream, don't you think you're being a bit unreasonable? Lien Frost Dream sneered. I'm being unreasonable. What I see is that you're using your position to take revenge on a personal grudge and deliberately humiliate Muziki. Ning Shu. Damn. She was always so self-centered. Are you blind? Didn't Muziki do the same before? Ning Shu impatiently said. There was no point in arguing with Lien Frost Dream. It was like debating whether the chicken or the egg came first. Do you think you're righteous enough to seek justice for those people? I don't care about others. My heart can only hold my companions. I don't care about anyone else. If anyone dares to bully my companions, I will kill them no matter how far they are. Lien Frost Dream's expression became increasingly cold. Get out of my way. Ning Shu didn't want to speak with Lien Frost Dream anymore. You agree to my challenge? Lien Frost Dream didn't move an inch. She blocked in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu's expression was indifferent. I really have to hand it to you. You Shuang, I also have to hand it to you. Is there any meaning in pretending? Lien Frost Dream said. Is there any meaning in pretending to be a weakling? I never said that I was a weakling. Your reputation as a trash is just a rumor, and my reputation as a trash is also a rumor. Ning Shu lightly said. Teacher Wen walked over, his face stern. Teacher Wen had always been gentle, but this was the first time he had seen him so angry. You still want a duel? You haven't even gone on stage to compete with others. You want to fight to the death with your own people? Teacher Wen looked at Lien Frost Dream. There will definitely be injuries in the competition. What are you trying to do? Mu Ziki has indeed lost. Teacher. Lien Frost Dream saw that Teacher Wen wasn't standing on her side, so she called out with a bit of grievance. If you can enter the top 50, then you can go on stage and fight as you please. Do you think it's good to block off like this? Teacher Wen's voice was low and deep, filling his entire body with a pressure that made one's heart tremble. Don't forget, this man was a powerhouse. His gentleness was just a facade. Chapter 1024. Teacher Wen's appearance to mediate didn't calm the situation down. Instead, it made the conflict seem as if it were fermenting. Lien Frost Dream felt that Teacher Wen was biased towards Yu Shuangshuang and was even more dissatisfied. Lien Frost Dream had a favorable impression of the gentle and gentlemanly Teacher Wen, but the person she liked was biased towards someone else. In addition, her companion had been beaten to such a state. Lien Frost Dream felt as if a rake was raking through her heart. Lien Frost Dream took a deep breath and indifferently asked Ning Shu, "Then do you dare to duel with me on the arena stage?" Ning Shu lifted his chin. "So what if I accept, and so what if I don't accept? Instead, we will face each other on the arena stage. We will face each other on the arena stage." I agree with Teacher Wen. Since we must duel, then let's duel during the match. Lien Frost Dream solemnly said, "Good, then let's decide victory and defeat on the arena stage." Lien Frost Dream deeply looked at Teacher Wen and then turned to leave. Ning Shu felt a sense of evil in his heart. Lien Frost Dream had been constantly talking about Yu Shuangshuang liking Mu Ziki, and now she was giving her a taste of her own medicine. Ning Shu coughed and said to Teacher Wen, "Teacher, why don't you go and look at Lien Frost Dream? Don't you know that she likes you?" Teacher Wen's complexion didn't change. He glanced at Ning Shu. "How did you raise your summoned beast to such a state?" "I used demon crystals and demon beast meat to raise it," Ning Shu said, as if he were speaking the truth. Teacher Wen was lost in thought. Ning Shu couldn't help but be speechless. Teacher Wen didn't react at all. He simply didn't care. Those that could become powerhouses were all people with a firm and resolute mind. How could they be so easily influenced by others? Heart like a boulder. Ning Shu said with a bored expression, "Teacher, I'll be leaving." Teacher Wen waved his hand, "Prepare for the next match." Soon, the top 50 rankings were decided. Ning Shu and Lien Frost Dream were in the top 50. But the top 50 rankings weren't guaranteed. This was because they would face challenges. If they were defeated, the challengers would replace the loser. Mu Ziki didn't know what kind of elixir he ate, but all his wounds were healed. Even the wounds of his summoned beasts were healed. His summoned beasts were in high spirits. When Mu Ziki saw Ning Shu, his eyes darkened. Using his hand as a knife, he drew a line across his neck. His provocation was self-evident. Ning Shu curled her lips. She reckoned that Mu Ziki wanted to challenge her. "Let's see how many high-grade potions you have." Ning Shu was already prepared to be challenged, but Mu Ziki didn't challenge her. Instead, he challenged a relatively weak student within the top 50. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. The boy who was challenged by Mu Ziki couldn't help but shake his head. He was already quite lucky to have made it this far, but now his good luck was about to come to an end. As expected, Mu Ziki took care of the boy in 2 or 3 moves and successfully advanced to the top 50. Lien Frost Dream smiled at Mu Ziki. Ning Shu had an indifferent expression. Tomorrow was the finals. Ning Shu returned home and worked hard to cultivate, striving to cultivate his Qi Jin to a golden color. Little grass floated around Ning Shu, absorbing spiritual energy. Ning Shu looked at little grass. He couldn't help but smile and say, "When you can transform into a human form, I'll teach you how to cultivate." "It won't be easy for me to transform into a human form," Little Grass softly said. Ning Shu nodded. That was true. It was already difficult for Little Grass to grow to her current state. It was impossible for her to transform into a human form in a single step. "Master, you can tell me how to cultivate. I'll memorize it." Little Grass stretched out a vine and wrapped around Ning Shu's ankle. Okay. Ning Shu slowly recited the Heart Sutra of the Peerless Martial Arts to Little Grass. Little Grass followed Ning Shu and recited it. She simply memorized it. With Little Grass's intelligence, it was impossible for her to understand such a difficult Heart Sutra. Even a blade of grass would not be able to cultivate it. Master is so nice. I want to be with Master forever. Flowers bloomed on Xiaocao's vines one after another. It was very beautiful. Ning Shu smiled and began to cultivate. After cultivating for an entire night, he was full of energy. Ning Shu slowly ate his breakfast. He saw that the earrings on his mother-in-law's ears were very beautiful. They were made of jade and there was a golden buyao on her head. Mother, it's very beautiful. Ning Shu gave her a thumbs up. His mother-in-law touched the golden buyao on her head in embarrassment and whispered, "Your father gave it to me. Father has good taste." Ning Shu said with a smile, "Sister, I heard that your school has a competition. Can you take me to see it? I want to go." The little bean used a spoon to dig into the rice as he asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu was a bit worried. Sister has to worry about the competition and can't take care of you. What if you get lost? Yes, don't cause trouble for your sister. Yu Xing said to the little bean. Father, I'm already very strong. Normal people are no match for me. I don't want sister to take care of me. I will be obedient. The little bean looked unhappy. He slid off the chair and turned his back to the three. Ning Shu put down his chopsticks and said to the little bean, "Little bean, spar with sister. If you can beat sister, I will take you to the competition." You are a man of your word. Come on. The little bean clenched his small fist. Ning Shu and the little bean went to the yard to fight. The Yu couple looked at each other and also went to the yard. Come on, sister. The little bean released a wave of qi and attacked Ning Shu. Ning Shu dodged it. The little bean raised his fist and attacked Ning Shu again. Ning Shu stretched out his leg and wanted to kick the little bean away. The little bean was very agile and dodged the attack. He jumped up and rushed towards Ning Shu fiercely. Ning Shu smiled. Little bean, sister will show you what qi is. A golden dragon-shaped qi appeared behind Ning Shu. The shape of the dragon was very realistic and it seemed to have scales. With a roar, it charged towards Little Bean. Little Bean's eyes widened as he saw the dragon-shaped energy rushing towards him. The dragon's claws grabbed onto Little Bean's clothes and lifted him into the air. Ning Shu retracted her qi. The little bean fell to the ground and immediately got up. He ran to Ning Shu excitedly. Sister, how did you do it? You are so strong. So, your little skills are not enough. Do you understand? Ning Shu squatted down and put his hand on the little bean's shoulder. The little bean looked very disappointed. Shuang, why don't you take little bean with you? He stays at home all day. Let him go out and play. Yu Xing felt bad for his son. Xiaocao stretched out a vine and flowers bloomed on it. Master, you can give him a flower. No matter where he is, he will be able to sense it. Ning Shu was speechless. When did she learn this skill? Ning Shu nodded in agreement. Okay, sister will take you to see the summoners fight. Ning Shu plucked a flower from the vine and put it in the little bean's pocket. Don't lose this or I won't be able to find you. Yes. The little bean smiled. Chapter 1025. Ning Shu led the little bean to the academy and had the little bean sit in his seat. Ning Shu sat in Lien Frost Dream's seat. Ever since the two of them had a falling out, the relationship between Ning Shu and Lien Frost Dream had become as cold as a Siberian river. In any case, they had completely fallen out. Ning Shu let out a sigh of relief. It was for the best that they had fallen out. Teacher Wen stared at the little bean. Ning Shu said, "Don't break the rules of the academy. If you casually bring a child here, they might even be eaten by a student's summoned beast." No, I will kill the summoned beast. The little bean quickly said. Teacher Wen raised an eyebrow. How will you kill the summoned beast? With my fist. The little bean raised his small fist. Teacher Wen didn't speak for a long time. The referee on the stage called out Ning Shu's name. Ning Shu was about to go on stage. Ning Shu said to the little bean, "You stay here and don't run around. Teacher, help me look after my little brother. I'll be down soon." Ning Shu said to Teacher Wen and then went on stage. Ning Shu's opponent looked at her with vigilance. Everyone knew that Ning Shu's summoned beast's binding ability was too difficult to deal with. Once they were bound, they could only wait to be slaughtered. However, those that could reach the top 50 weren't weak. They all had some skill. Her opponent released a monkey-like summoned beast. This monkey had a pair of dark green eyes. Ning Shu stretched his neck, planning to fight this monkey with his bare hands. Begin. As the teacher's voice fell, Ning Shu raised his fist and smashed it at the monkey. Ning Shu's opponent was watching from the side. As he saw that Ning Shu hadn't released his summoned beast, his heart jumped with joy. "Hurry up and beat her." The monkey squeaked, and Ning Shu rushed over. Ning Shu fought with the monkey barehanded, but the monkey's dark green eyes were dazzling. "Come on, big sister. Big sister is the best." Little Bean stood on the chair and waved her hands at Ning Shu. "Sit down." Teacher Wen looked at the little bean silently. "Oh." Little Bean sat down obediently. Ning Shu tried his best not to look into the monkey's eyes. The monkey's speed was very fast. When Ning Shu punched, the monkey had already disappeared, leaving only an afterimage. Then, the monkey attacked from other directions. Ning Shu calmed his mind and wasn't in a hurry. After a round of fighting, he kicked the monkey off the stage. Even Frost Dream and Mu Ziqi's mercenary group sat together, looking at Ning Shu on stage. What kind of martial skill does this woman practice? It's so powerful that she can take on the Jade Eye Beast head-on, a boy asked with a frown. With her strength, even if she doesn't have a summoned beast, she'll still be fine. Mu Ziqi, didn't this girl confess to you? Go and find out what kind of martial skill she practices. With this martial skill, our summoned beasts won't be weak. With this martial skill, our strength might have a qualitative breakthrough. Mu Ziqi's complexion was ugly. "You bunch of bad friends. You want me to talk to that hateful woman? I really don't want to see her. A moment of self-respect isn't anything. So what if you use a honey trap? You'll just be beaten up by her. If you play with her feelings and then throw her away, I guarantee that she'll be in even more pain than she is now." Lien Frost Dream's complexion was ugly. "What are you talking about?" Mu Ziqi looked at Lien Frost Dream. "If I fight with you Shuang first, I'll try my best to wear down her combat strength. At that time, your chances of winning will be much higher." "You mean that I can't beat her?" Lien Frost Dream stared at Mu Ziqi. "You don't believe me? You think I can't beat her? I didn't mean that." Mu Ziqi shook his head. Lien Frost Dream stared at Ning Shu. She lightly said, "She can, but it's impossible for her to defeat me." "You Shuang, victory. Big sister, you're amazing." As soon as Ning Shu stepped down from the stage, the little bean rushed over. Ning Shu said, "Little bean, look at how big sister defeated her summoned beast even though she didn't summon it. Little bean is just as fierce as big sister, so it doesn't matter if you have a summoned beast or not." In truth, the little bean had always been disappointed that she wasn't a summoner. Little Bean nodded. "I'll do my best." Ning Shu and the little bean sat together, watching the match on the arena stage. Lien Frost Dream's strength was indeed formidable. In order to challenge Ning Shu, Lien Frost Dream didn't summon her summoned beast, and instead used her own martial arts to defeat her opponent's summoned beast. This also allowed Ning Shu to see Lien Frost Dream's strength. It seemed that Lien Frost Dream's ancient martial arts had already reached the level of internal strength. However, Lien Frost Dream's opponent was a strength-type summoned beast. If it was an elemental-type summoned beast that could spit out water or fire, then her chances of victory wouldn't be high. "Big sister, does she also know battle chi?" The little bean saw that Lien Frost Dream's fighting style was very similar to Ning Shu's. Ning Shu asked for confirmation. "It's not the same." Ning Shu rubbed the little bean's head. Peerless martial arts became more powerful the further one progressed. Mentor Wen turned his head and gently asked, "What is battle chi?" "It's the name of a martial skill." Ning Shu lightly said. Mentor Wen narrowed his eyes and gently said, "How come I've never heard of this martial skill?" Mentor, you don't know all the martial skills in the world. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Mentor Wen nodded. I've collected all the martial skills in the world. Ning Shu. Next match, Yu Shuang against Mu Ziki. The mentor shouted. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect to face Mu Ziki so quickly. Ning Shu stepped onto the stage and looked at Mu Ziki across from him. Mu Ziki's face was taut and his expression was very ugly. Mu Ziki looked at Ning Shu and said, although you are strong, I still hate you. I will never like you. Mu Ziki's words caused an uproar in the audience. Everyone looked at Ning Shu with strange expressions. There was no lack of people taking pleasure in his misfortune. Although Ning Shu had entered the top 50, his impression of Yu Shuang was still that of a trash summoner. Ning Shu, what the hell? Yu Shuang, I'll tell you one more time. I will never like you. Even if you are strong, I will still hate you. Mu Ziki's voice was loud and clear. Ning Shu looked at Mu Ziki. He was deliberately attacking her, using another method to attack her. She was rejected by the person she liked, and on such an occasion. If it was any other girl, they wouldn't be able to bear it. Their emotions would be in a mess and they wouldn't have the face to stay on the stage. They would run off crying. Ning Shu moved his wrist and neck. His neck made cracking sounds. He smiled faintly and said, what does it have to do with me that you hate me? You say it as if my life can be improved if you like me. Beat him. Ning Shu released Xiao Chao. Xiao Chao's vines immediately wrapped around Mu Ziki. Mu Ziki, who was tied up, had an ugly expression as he stared at Ning Shu with bloodshot eyes. Chapter 1026. Xiao Chao's vines danced in the air, slapping Mu Ziki's body. Mu Ziki's face twisted in pain. This time, he didn't even have time to summon his beast before the vines wrapped around him. They didn't hit his body, but his heart. He didn't have the slightest ability to resist. He was being whipped in front of everyone. Mu Ziki was a proud and arrogant person. To be treated like this by a woman he looked down on, he felt his self-esteem being trampled on. This was the second time. He had planned on wasting Yu Shuang's energy first. Chirp chirp, chirp chirp chirp. Lien Frost Dream stood on the back of the phoenix and flew onto the arena stage. Ning Shu coldly shouted, Yu Shuang, don't you think you're going too far? You have the strength, but do you think you can bully others like this? Lien Frost Dream stood on the back of the phoenix, looking down at Ning Shu. Do you think it's fun to use this method to show off your strength? Xiao Chao used the vines to form a chair. Ning Shu sat on the chair, facing Lien Frost Dream. This way, he wouldn't lose out in terms of momentum. This is my match with Mu Ziki. What are you doing here? Do you want to interrupt my match with Mu Ziki? Ning Shu lightly said. Lien Frost Dream stood on the back of the phoenix, looking like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. She was elegant and ethereal, but her complexion was ugly. Mu Ziki isn't your match, and you still want to humiliate him like this. Yu Shuang, I really misjudged you. Ning Shu stood up. Who am I humiliating? This is a match, so what are you doing here? Are you trying to ruin the competition? Even Frost Dream and Mu Ziki haven't admitted defeat yet, so why are you in such a hurry? So your summoned beast is allowed to pull out other people's hair, but I can't tie up Mu Ziki? Ning Shu didn't budge an inch. Lien Frost Dream lifted her chin. Release Mu Ziki and I'll fight you. Why should I fight you? I'm a student that only abides by the rules of the academy. It's not my turn to fight with you. Ning Shu didn't respond to her words. If you want to fight me, I'll fight you. I won't fight you. Anyway, she has the upper hand now. Yu Shuang, if you have any problems then come at me. You're just unhappy that I sent you a love letter and Mu Ziki rejected you. You can blame this on me, it has nothing to do with Mu Ziki. Lien Frost Dream loudly shouted at Ning Shu. Fuck, why did he keep talking about this matter? Yes, I did write a love letter to Mu Ziki, but that doesn't stop me from hitting him. On the other hand, you sent a love letter to Mu Ziki. Who knows if you used me to build a relationship with Mu Ziki? In any case, you two have already hooked up. Ning Shu said casually. Lien Frost Dream tightly frowned. Mu Ziki and I are innocent. It's not what you think. We are simply partners. Yu Shuang, I never knew that you thought of me like this. To think that I was so sincere to you. Ning Shu faintly smiled. If you're sincere to me, then you should touch your conscience. If you're sincere, then don't insult it. See, now he was using this move to deal with her. He spoke as if she were a traitor. Lien Frost Dream deeply looked at Ning Shu and then said to the referee, "Please arrange for me to fight Yu Shuang next." Ning Shu had an indifferent expression. He sat in his chair and played with his fingernails. Lien Frost Dream's face was really big. Her sudden appearance had completely disrupted the plan and progress of the match. Fuck, this I'm the most picky in the world type of personality. He was speechless. Besides, it wasn't like there weren't any powerhouses in this school. There were no powerhouses that could stand tall. The referee's complexion was ugly. With a cold expression, he said, "This is against the rules. The rules can be changed. I will fight Yu Shuang first." Lien Frost Dream said. The referee pursed his lips and didn't speak. Teacher Wen stood up and walked onto the stage. He gently said to the referee, "Let the two of them fight. Let's see what kind of flower they can create." Although Teacher Wen's tone was gentle, one could tell from his words that he was angry. "Teacher Wen, this is against the rules," the referee said, a bit embarrassed. Teacher Wen gently smiled, "I will speak to the dean." "It doesn't matter." Lien Frost Dream immediately smiled at Teacher Wen. Her face was bright and beautiful, and she looked particularly moving. "Thank you, teacher." Teacher Wen looked at Lien Frost Dream and then left the stage. Next match, Yu Shuang against Lien Frost Dream. The referee left the stage. Lien Frost Dream looked at the tied-up Muziki. His clothes were torn, and anger flashed across her face. "You can let him go now." "Oh, I almost forgot about it." Ning Shu stood up and stretched her body. Little grass directly threw Muziki out of the stage. As he was thrown out, Muziki rolled on the ground twice. Lien Frost Dream looked at the distressed Muziki and angrily turned to Ning Shu. "For better or worse, he is someone you once liked. How can you treat him like this just because he doesn't like you? Liking someone isn't about possessing them, it's about seeing them happy." Ning Shu dug his ears. "Do you want to fight or not?" Little Grass took the lead and stretched out her vines, rushing towards Lien Frost Dream. The phoenix carried Lien Frost Dream away from the vines. Lien Frost Dream sneered, "You're not the only one with vines. Demon Vine, come out." Just as Lien Frost Dream's voice fell, a pitch-black demon vine with countless vines appeared. This demon vine had a face that resembled a human's. As soon as it appeared, it occupied half of the stage. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes. Lien Frost Dream was far stronger than he had imagined. He felt that this ghost-faced demon vine was specifically created to restrain Little Grass. The vines from both sides intertwined like fried dough twists. "Yu Shuang, let's exchange moves." As Lien Frost Dream saw the ghost-faced demon vine drag Little Grass down, she threw a sword at Ning Shu. The sword flew straight towards Ning Shu's head. Ning Shu tilted his head and grabbed the sword hilt. Ning Shu and Lien Frost Dream jumped onto the stage at the same time, raising their swords as they rushed towards each other. As the swords collided, they emitted a grating sound. Ning Shu swung his sword light flashing. The two of them were close to using their full strength. As their swords collided, sparks flew. Ning Shu and Lien Frost Dream's expressions were tense, not holding back at all. Even the floor of the stage was pierced by the two people's sword energy. As the swords collided, they both broke. The audience below the stage watched with rapt attention, almost holding their breaths. Teacher Wen looked at the two people on stage, his finger tapping the back of his other hand. These two students of his, one was better at hiding their strength than the other. In terms of combat strength, a normal summoned beast wasn't their match. It seemed that when a summoner rose, if a summoner was strong, in addition to a summoned beast, their combat strength wouldn't just be 1+1. Chapter 1027. Ning Shu and Lien Frost Dream's swords broke. The two of them threw away their swords and began to fight with their bare fists. Every fist struck flesh. Lien Frost Dream mixed in her internal strength and Ning Shu mixed in his internal strength. Lien Frost Dream was struck in the shoulder by Ning Shu's fist. She stuffily coughed, feeling as if her shoulder was about to break and half of her body was numb. Lien Frost Dream was incomparably shocked. She never thought that Yu Shuangshuang's strength would be so great. It was as if she had been struck by a moving mountain. The blood in her lungs began to stir. Lien Frost Dream jumped onto the back of the phoenix and flew into the air. Yu Shuangshuang, your summoned beast has been entangled. Without your summoned beast, are you nothing? Damn, were they trying to bully her because she couldn't fly? Ning Shu mobilized the energy in his body and floated in the air in front of Lien Frost Dream. Like this, he flew in front of Lien Frost Dream. Lien Frost Dream's pupils shrank. She almost blurted out to ask how Ning Shu had done this, but she held back. The audience was in an uproar. Without the help of a summoned beast, it was impossible for a summoned beast to fly. Some summoned beasts that couldn't fly didn't have the chance to fly with their masters. Lien Frost Dream tightly frowned. She released the flesh-winged dragon. The cute flesh-winged dragon howled and turned into a fierce and massive dragon. The dragon swung its body and rushed towards Ning Shu. Ning Shu mobilized the energy in his dantian. A golden dragon slowly rose from behind Ning Shu. With a silent roar, it rushed towards the dragon that was rushing towards him. The two dragons collided in front of everyone's eyes, emitting an unbearable sound wave. Some people covered their ears, their expressions uncomfortable. Teacher Wen stood up and stared at the golden dragon. He couldn't feel the life aura of the golden dragon. Was it not a living creature? The golden dragon and flesh-winged dragon tangled together. From time to time, the dragon's roar would cause the students below to suffer. This battle had surpassed everyone's expectations. Now, almost no one was able to intervene. Mentor Wen sat down and did not stop the battle. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the golden dragon on the stage. Even Frost Dream was left dumbfounded, unable to believe what she was seeing. What was going on with this dragon? Was it Yu Shuangshuang's summoned beast? Even Frost Dream felt an unprecedented sense of crisis in her heart, as well as a sense of helpless panic. How could Yu Shuangshuang be so powerful? That was impossible. After getting some free time, Ning Shu asked Xiao Chao, "How are you?" Ning Shu could not help but be speechless as he looked at the entwined bodies below. He could not tell what was going on. Master Wawa. Xiao Chao was so angry that she cried out, "This guy is so annoying, his body stinks so stinky." Ning Shu directly put the grass away. The grass turned into an ordinary grass and floated beside Ning Shu. The ghost-faced demon vine stretched out its vines towards Ning Shu, but it was blocked by Xiao Chao. So annoying. Xiao Cao's voice was particularly angry. She stretched out vines that covered the sky and covered the earth, and the vines were instantly covered with flowers. The entire arena stage was like a sea of flowers. Xiao Chao wrapped around the ghost-faced demon vine, her pollen falling onto the vines. Weeds began to grow on the ghost-faced demon vine's pitch-black vines. The originally ugly ghost face became even more twisted, as if it felt fear and pain. More and more green grass began to grow from the vines. This was Xiao Cao's parasitic ability. She never thought that it would have an effect on her own kind. The vines were covered with grass. As the grass absorbed the energy of the vines became increasingly weak. As the master of the vines, Lien Frost Dream was the first to feel the situation of her summoned beast. As she saw the ghost-faced demon vine covered in grass, she frowned. After struggling for a moment, she put away the ghost-faced demon vine. If it continued to be absorbed like this, then the energy of the ghost-faced demon vine would be completely absorbed. The only thing that awaited the ghost-faced demon vine was death. This ghost-faced demon vine was summoned through the mysterious bead, and was specifically used to restrain Yu Shuangshuang's summoned beast. Without awakening, the ghost-faced demon vine was helpless against Yu Shuangshuang's summoned beast. An indescribable sense of powerlessness appeared in Lien Frost Dream's heart. She had already summoned her most powerful plant-summoned beast. The ghost-faced demon vine had an extremely corrosive nature, and it also had demonic energy that could affect a person's mind. Ning Shu's Xiaoqiao was something that he had painstakingly raised. As for Lien Frost Dream's Ghost-Face Demon Vine, she had never thought of raising it. The Ghost-Face Demon Vine's starting point was far higher than Xiaocao's. Without the Ghost-Face Demon Vine disturbing her, Xiaoqiao felt much more relaxed. Your master can't float anymore. Get a chair. The energy in her dantian had already been sucked away by the dragon-shaped energy. Now she couldn't support herself and fall down. Okay. Xiaoqiao got a chair. Flowers bloomed all over it. Ning Shu thought that this little lowly was particularly vain. Ning Shu sat on the chair. He almost wanted to lie down, but with so many people watching he had to maintain his cool. Ning Shu watched as the dragon-shaped energy and the flesh-winged dragon trembled. The two dragons had nearly destroyed the arena stage. Xiaoqiao stretched out her overwhelming vines towards Lien Frost Dream. It looked as if she wanted to wrap around Lien Frost Dream. Master, I'll wrap around her. Whip her. Xiaocao's soft and cute voice sounded out in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu, puff, Ning Shu nodded. Lien Frost Dream's complexion paled. The phoenix beneath her feet looked at the vines that were reaching towards her, its eyes flashing with contempt. It opened its beak and spat out golden flames. The flames of a phoenix were not the flames of a Luan. A phoenix's flames would never be extinguished. The vines were instantly burned to ashes by the golden flames. Xiaoqiao immediately retracted the vines that were extending towards that direction. Ning Shu stood up in shock. He asked, "Are you all right?" It hurts, it hurts." Xiaoqiao cried, "I can't absorb this fire." "Absorb my ass. I'll be burnt to ashes in an instant." Xiaoqiao carefully stretched out her vines and touched the nirvanic flames burning on the ground. As soon as she touched the nirvanic flames, she immediately retracted her vines. As soon as she touched the nirvanic flames, her vines would be burnt to ashes. Xiaoqiao constantly tried to absorb the power of the nirvanic flames. But the phoenix was the essence of fire. It wasn't something that Xiaoqiao could absorb. Seeing the phoenix's nirvanic flames restrain the vines, Lien Frost Dream's complexion became much better. There were already many wounds on the flesh-winged dragon's body. With a swipe of the golden dragon's claws, a deep wound would appear on the flesh-winged dragon's body. But she didn't know what sort of monster this was. It was transparent and couldn't be hurt at all. Oh! The flesh-winged dragon let out a mournful roar as a chunk of its flesh was torn off. As the dragon meat fell to the ground, Xiaoqiao immediately took it for her own. Lien Frost Dream painfully took back the flesh-winged dragon and had the phoenix spit fire at the golden dragon. Ning Shu directly withdrew his dragon-shaped energy. The dragon-shaped energy returned to his dantian. Chapter 1028. The fierce battle came to a temporary halt. Clusters of nirvanic flames burned on the arena stage. Ning Shu sat on a flower chair as he stared at Lien Frost Dream, who was standing on the back of a phoenix. The two of them were silent. The audience was also silent. The battle just now had completely surpassed their imaginations and challenged their worldview. Damn, when could a summoned beast be so fierce? And when could a summoner be so fierce? Lien Frost Dream looked at Ning Shu with a complex expression. She asked, "Who are you? Aren't you Yu Shuangshuang?" "What are you saying? If I'm not Yu Shuangshuang, then who am I?" Ning Shu was bewildered. Yu Shuangshuang shouldn't be so strong. Lien Frost Dream's sharp eyes scraped over Ning Shu's face. Ning Shu's complexion didn't change. "If you can be strong, then why can't I be? This is different." Lien Frost Dream shook her head. She wasn't Yu Shuangshuang, but had relied on a mysterious bead to summon a powerful summoned beast. Did Yu Shuangshuang have some sort of treasure on her body? Lien Frost Dream thought that Ning Shu had some sort of treasure on him that could change his destiny, or perhaps he had some sort of fortuitous encounter that caused her to become like this. Ning Shu picked a flower and smelled it. "What's different about it?" Lien Frost Dream faintly smiled. She lightly said, "Although you are stronger than I imagined, if you think you can defeat me, then you are far too naive. No matter what move you use, I will receive it." Ning Shu stood up. Victory and defeat hadn't been decided yet. They had to fight. Lien Frostdream closed her eyes and muttered, "The White Tiger invites you out." White Tiger? Ning Shu was stunned. This shouldn't be the ancient god-beast White Tiger. Ning Shu's expression was vigilant. A man wearing silver clothes descended from the skies. He had a head of snow-white hair, noble and proud. Standing there, he seemed to be able to prop up the heavens. His body was filled with a deep killing intent. The White Tiger was the master of killing. A humanoid summoned beast. The audience was in an uproar. Only powerful summoned beasts could transform into human form. The boy's eyes were filled with envy and jealousy, while the girl's eyes were filled with stars. Such a powerful summoned beast, and it was so handsome and charming. The White Tiger floated in the air. His white hair did not have the slightest hint of age. His face was delicate and handsome, and there was a noble air between his brows. He turned his head and looked at Lien Frostdream. "Why did you suddenly summon me? Didn't you never summon me?" The White Tiger looked around and finally fixed its eyes on Ning Shu. Ning Shu instantly felt countless evil and murderous auras gushing towards her, which began to affect her mind. Ning Shu chanted the clear heart mantra in his heart. Coupled with the effect of the heart-calming pill, he did not let Ning Shu lose himself in the evil qi. Ning Shu was speechless. Fuck, just how many summoned beasts does this guy have? This cheat is a little too big. Not only does he have dragons and phoenixes, he even has ancient divine beasts now. Damn, is he going to summon an azure dragon, black tortoise, or something like that? Just what was that bead? It was too fierce. None of my other summoned beasts are her match, so I could only call you out. Lien Frostdream's face flushed red. In front of so many people, she could not lose. The White Tiger's white hair floated in the air. "I can help you, but you must think of the conditions." Lien Frostdream's complexion darkened. What sort of summoned beast was this? How could it be so arrogant? Ning Shu listened to the conversation between the two. Could it be that the White Tiger had conditions for helping Lien Frostdream? "As long as you win this match, I will do as you wish," Lien Frostdream said. The White Tiger nodded and turned to look at Ning Shu. Ning Shu stretched out his hand. Then, Ning Shu felt as if he couldn't control his own body as he floated towards the White Tiger. Ning Shu's heart was filled with hatred. Wasn't this just a beast? Ning Shu mobilized the energy within his body. A golden dragon emerged from Ning Shu's body and rushed towards the White Tiger. The White Tiger's expression was indifferent. From beginning to end, its complexion hadn't changed at all. As Lien Frostdream looked at the somewhat distressed Ning Shu, she couldn't help but smile. The White Tiger was her most powerful summoned beast. It could definitely defeat Yu Shuangshuang. "Master, what do we do now?" Little Grass asked Ning Shu. With that bird present, there was no way for her to help. Little Grass tried to absorb the nirvanic flames burning on the ground, but as soon as it touched the flames, the vines turned to ashes. Luckily, she had absorbed the fire energy of the Luan Phoenix before, so she had a bit of resistance. Ning Shu looked at the battle between the golden energy and the White Tiger. The White Tiger's posture was relaxed. It hadn't even transformed into its true form. It held onto the tail of the dragon-shaped energy. No matter how much the dragon-shaped energy struggled, it couldn't break free. Heavens, how powerful! The audience gasped. This was only an academy competition, yet it had reached such a degree. Even the teachers of the academy might not have a humanoid summoned beast. Their eyes couldn't move away from the white-haired White Tiger. Their eyes were filled with longing, and even their eyes were filled with awe as they looked at Lien Frostdream. Lien Frostdream had reached a height that they could only dream of. "Big sister?" The little bean clenched his fists, staring at Ning Shu on the stage. "My big sister will be fine, right?" The little bean pulled on Teacher Wen's clothes. "Help my big sister, aren't you her teacher?" Teacher Wen's expression was gentle. "Sit down. If something happens, I will go up and stop the competition." Teacher Wen narrowed his eyes as he watched the situation on the stage. This was really unexpected. Perhaps his goal of all these years was about to be realized. His desire to become a powerful summoner was about to be realized. Tutor Wen looked at the little kid who had a tense and worried face. You and your sister cultivate Do Qi. The little bean was worried about his big sister. When Ning Shu saw that the dragon-shaped force was at a disadvantage, she took a deep breath and sat cross-legged on the rattan chair. She took out a spirit marrow crystal from her bag and held it in her palm, absorbing the spirit qi within the spirit marrow crystal. The terrifying spiritual energy from the spirit marrow crystal flowed through Ning Shu's meridians and into her dantian. Ning Shu's body trembled because the terrifying spiritual energy had broken her meridians. Her dantian felt as if countless blades were scraping against it, but the spiritual energy only circled around her dantian for a moment before disappearing. With enough spiritual energy, the dragon-shaped energy howled and its golden body shined even brighter. Its dragon scales were vivid and lifelike, as if it were a giant golden dragon. The dragon-shaped energy shook off the white tiger's hand and broke free from its control. The white tiger was surprised. He tilted his head and looked at the dragon-shaped energy. I wonder if you can develop intelligence? But you must disappear now. The white tiger stretched out his hand and an invisible force took control of the giant dragon. The white tiger clenched his hand and the golden dragon-shaped energy exploded with a bang. It turned into a golden light and finally disappeared, no longer in its dragon form. Chapter 1029. Ning Shu's dragon-shaped energy was easily annihilated by the white tiger. Ning Shu stuffily coughed and spat out a mouthful of blood. Ning Shu's eyes dimmed. His dantian was riddled with holes and his meridians were twisted and broken. Master! Little Grass was so scared that she began to cry. A wave of wood attribute energy entered Ning Shu's body, slowly repairing Ning Shu's broken body. Seeing Ning Shu vomit blood, Lien Frost Dream relaxed. She thought that Yu Shuangshuang was so fierce that she couldn't be defeated. Yu Shuangshuang, it's not too late for you to admit defeat. Although I don't know whether or not that dragon was your summoned beast, it has already disappeared. They're also your vines. Under Feng Er's nirvanic flames, they can only turn to ashes. Master, she's too arrogant. I want to kill her. Little Grass shouted out in a cute voice, her voice echoing in Ning Shu's heart. Don't make trouble. Ning Shu weakly said. Ning Shu looked at Lien Frost Dream. This girl's cheats were simply enough to rush out of the universe. Ning Shu wasn't willing to give up, but what methods did he have to defeat her now? The difference between her and Yu Shuangshuang was that she was standing at the starting point, but Yu Shuangshuang was already standing at the end. What a scam! She was invincible to this degree. Yu Shuangshuang frowned as she saw Ning Shu refuse to admit defeat. She became vigilant. Did he have some other hidden card? It's best if you admit defeat like this. If you fight to the death, it won't be good for later matches. Lien Frost Dream said. Ning Shu's entire body twitched with pain. As he heard Lien Frost Dream's words, he rolled his eyes. I like to stay on stage. Come and bite me. I'm telling you to admit defeat for your own good. I don't want you to suffer some irreversible injury. Lien Frost Dream's expression didn't change. Ning Shu's dantian was uncomfortably empty. He sat down cross-legged and began to revolve his peerless martial arts. He didn't think that the surrounding spiritual energy would howl towards him. Ning Shu rushed over, and the spiritual energy in his body turned into streams of water that flowed into his dantian. Ning Shu was shocked. What was going on? Ning Shu's dantian was like a big pond, filled with liquid spirit qi. A golden water dragon formed in Ning Shu's dantian. The water dragon swam and jumped in the spirit liquid. If a gas turned into a liquid, would it turn into a solid next time? It was getting denser, and so was the concentration of spiritual energy. No construction without destruction? Could it be that he had unlocked another cultivation method for peerless martial arts? White Tiger, kill her. As Frost Dream saw a hurricane of spiritual energy form around Ning Shu, she quickly shouted out to the White Tiger. Although she didn't know what had happened to Ning Shu, she knew that it definitely wasn't anything good. Ning Shu, who was floating in the air, walked over. He probably wanted to study what had happened to Ning Shu, so he didn't immediately kill Ning Shu. Xiao Qiao immediately stretched out countless vines, wanting to entangle White Tiger. Feng, spit fire. Frost Dream lifted her foot and gently stamped on the phoenix's back. The phoenix immediately spat out golden flames towards the vines. As soon as the nirvanic flames touched the vines were burnt to ashes. However, Xiao Qiao continued to stretch out her vines towards the White Tiger, wanting to stop the White Tiger's footsteps. Finally, the vines were turned to ashes. Feng, burn that grass to death. Frost Dream calmly said as she stamped her foot. Frost Dream, wait a moment. Instructor Wen said as he stood up. Frost Dream felt sour in her heart. She clenched her teeth and said, spit fire. Frost Dream had a premonition that Yu Shuangshuang would be a great enemy in the future. Now that she had forced out all of her cards, it was over. Yu Shuangshuang would continue to grow in the future. She didn't know what she would become. White Tiger Void Ning Shu walked over. Vines wrapped around his ankles, but the vines were immediately shaken to dust. The phoenix spat out nirvanic flames from its mouth. The flames submerged the entire arena, including Xiao Qiao. The vines danced in the sea of fire before finally turning to ashes. The White Tiger walked in front of Ning Shu. It opened its mouth and sucked all of the spiritual energy around Ning Shu into its body. White Tiger, kill her. Frost Dream shouted towards the White Tiger. Lien Frost Dream, this is a match that will end when the time comes. Instructor Wen released his own summoned beast. A massive golden dragon covered the skies as it hovered above the academy. Frost Dream felt even more sour. Why did her teacher protect Yu Shuangshuang every time? What was so good about Yu Shuangshuang? It wasn't fair at all, it wasn't fair at all. The White Tiger looked at the massive golden dragon. Why is there another dragon here? Were golden dragons popular this year? The White Tiger reached out and grabbed Ning Shu's neck. A golden dragon stretched out from behind Ning Shu, but this dragon was made of water. This dragon wasn't too large, it was around the size of a person. As soon as it appeared, it bit down on the White Tiger's wrist. The White Tiger used its other hand to crush the golden dragon. The golden dragon turned into drops of golden water before rapidly recovering to its original state. The golden dragon bit down with all its strength and broke the White Tiger's wrist. The White Tiger roared and instantly turned into a massive white tiger that stepped on flames. It was incomparably ferocious, carrying with it an ancient and desolate aura. In front of the massive white tiger, the golden dragon seemed very small. It was unknown whether or not it was made of water, but this time the golden dragon's aura was much stronger. It even blinked its eyes, seeming very intelligent. The golden dragon rushed towards the white tiger. Ning Shu opened his eyes and saw the raging flames on the arena stage. But Xiao Qiao had already disappeared without a trace. Ning Shu's heart skipped a beat. He quickly shouted out in his mind, Xiao Qiao, where are you? Respond. There was no response. Xiao Cao's soft voice didn't appear. Was she burned to ashes? Ning Shu felt an incomparable pain in his heart. His head buzzed as he looked at Frost Dream with red eyes. Frost Dream lifted her chin. Ning Shu faintly asked, Did you kill my summoned beast? She was the one who stretched out her vines. Am I supposed to let her wrap around me? Frost Dream was well aware that if she was wrapped around by the vines, she was basically at the mercy of others. If it were anyone else, they would have allowed themselves to be wrapped around by the vines. Ning Shu flew through the air towards Frost Dream. As Frost Dream saw Ning Shu's cold face, her heart trembled. The phoenix beneath Frost Dream's feet began to spit out flames. Ning Shu leapt away from the fire dragon and flew in front of Lien Frostmeng, nearly touching her nose with her nose. Ning Shu suddenly reached out and pulled Frost Dream off his back. Frost Dream fell onto the arena stage. The phoenix was Frost Dream's summoned beast. The flames of nirvanic rebirth were unable to harm it. Frost Dream quickly looked up. As she saw Ning Shu standing on the back of her summoned beast, she immediately tried to recall her summoned beast. Ning Shu squatted down and mobilized the energy in his dantian into his fist. He raised his fist and smashed it against the phoenix's back. Chirp chirp. The phoenix cried out in a mournful voice. Ning Shu punched the phoenix's back again and again, leaving behind a bloody mess. Chapter 1030. Fodder, come back. Lien Frost Dream anxiously shouted, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't fly in the air like Ning Shu could. Ning Shu tightly grabbed onto the phoenix's feathers, a fist pounding on its back. The phoenix's cries became weaker and weaker. You Shuang, let her go, otherwise I will fight you to the death. Lien Frost Dream shouted at Ning Shu, her voice filled with deep hatred. That was her companion. White Tiger, hurry and save Feng. Lien Frost Dream shouted at the White Tiger. The White Tiger was entangled by the Golden Dragon. This water-shaped dragon was extremely difficult to deal with. Even if it was crushed beneath its feet and turned into a puddle of water, it would still be able to regenerate. Lien Frost Dream, since you killed my summon, I will also kill your summon. Ning Shu grabbed onto the phoenix's mangled flesh and blood. He mobilized the energy within his body and used all of his strength to tear the phoenix in half. Chirp chirp. The phoenix emitted a mournful cry as blood sprayed out. The phoenix's blood was scorching hot, and the blood that splashed out fell from the sky like a rain of fire. Ning Shu held the phoenix's corpse in one hand. Just looking at it made one's heart tremble. Lien Frost Dream cried out, You Shuang, I will fight you to the death. Ning Shu threw away the phoenix's corpse. If you want to fight me to the death, then so be it. Since you killed my summon, then I will also kill your summon. Lien Frost Dream paled, her entire body shivering. With the phoenix's death, the nirvanic flames on the arena stage began to slowly extinguish. Ning Shu saw a clump of grass that was about to turn to ash. Lien Frost Dream felt as much pain as Ning Shu felt. Lien Frost Dream picked up the broken sword on the ground and thrust it at Ning Shu. Ning Shu released his energy, shaking Lien Frost Dream away. Lien Frost Dream was sent flying back onto the arena stage. She coughed twice in discomfort. You Shuang, you killed my summon and my companion. This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. Lien Frost Dream closed her eyes and summoned the Titan Giant Ape. As the Titan Giant Ape spoke, the entire arena stage trembled. The Titan Giant Ape had boundless strength and could move mountains. Kill her, turn her into meat paste. Lien Frost Dream coldly shouted out. You Shuang, you must pay the price. Upon receiving its master's instructions, the Titan Ape raised its fist and charged at Ning Shu. Not only was the Titan Giant Ape extremely strong, but it was also extremely fast. Ning Shu raised her fists and rushed towards the Titan Giant Ape in front of everyone's eyes. She used her fists to fight back. As long as it was made of flesh and blood, there was no one who did not fear pain and could not be beaten to death. Ning Shu mobilized the energy in his body and collided with the Titan Giant Ape's fist. The instant their fists made contact, the air rippled. Ning Shu and the Titan Ape seemed to be frozen. In the next second, the Titan Giant Ape flew backward and fell to the ground with a thud, its fists limp. The Titan Giant Ape roared at Ning Shu with bloodshot eyes. Lien Frost Dream had a splitting headache. She shouted at the White Tiger with dissatisfaction, Aren't you being too perfunctory? Kill this woman and I'll give you what you want. The White Tiger ignored the Golden Dragon's harassment. It roared and rushed towards Ning Shu. The White Tiger was called a god beast, but it was only a high-level monster beast. Ning Shu formed hand seals. For better or worse, she had stayed in the world of cultivation for a long time. Speaking of which, she was ashamed. This was something that Kelp had taught her. Ning Shu constantly changed her hand seals, nearly drawing out all the spiritual energy in her Dantian spirit lake and weaving it into an invisible cage that trapped the White Tiger. If it were before, there wouldn't have been enough spiritual energy to support Ning Shu's beast trapping art. In the world of cultivation, the beast trapping art required a cultivation above the soul formation realm to have enough spiritual energy to use. The White Tiger was trapped in this invisible cage. No matter how it tried, it couldn't escape. It constantly roared. What are you doing? Hurry up. Lien Frost Dream shouted at the White Tiger, her complexion incomparably ugly. Ning Shu formed hand seals and slowly closed the cage. With no other choice, the white tiger could only transform into its human form. The white tiger looked at Ning Shu and said with a sound transmission, "This is a cultivation technique." Ning Shu didn't respond. Lien Frost Dream saw that the white tiger couldn't escape. She deeply looked at Ning Shu and then directly shouted at Mentor Wen, who was standing atop the golden dragon's head, "I admit defeat." Lien Frost Dream's good impression of Mentor Wen had completely vanished. She watched from the sidelines. She needed a lover and a companion that she could entrust her back to, not someone like Mentor Wen. "Yu Shuang, victory!" Mentor Wen shouted. Lien Frost Dream wanted to take back the white tiger but discovered that it couldn't return. The white tiger had been controlled by Yu Shuang. Lien Frost Dream stared at Ning Shu in a daze. How had she done this? She really couldn't see through Yu Shuang anymore. Was this really the Yu Shuang she knew? "Yu Shuang, I've already admitted defeat. What else do you want? Release the white tiger." Lien Frost Dream calmly shouted at Ning Shu. Ning Shu ignored Yu Shuang. He stared at the black ash on the arena stage, feeling something strange. Under Ning Shu's gaze, a tender green blade of grass began to grow out from the black ash. Then, a blade of grass began to grow. Ning Shu's heart was filled with endless joy. Was this a little grass? "Is that you?" Ning Shu anxiously asked in his mind. "Master." A soft voice sounded out in Ning Shu's mind, causing Ning Shu's heart to melt. "You scared me to death." Ning Shu sternly said. "Don't you know how to run after being burned by fire?" The little grass floated around Ning Shu. "It's good that you're fine, it's good that you're fine." Ning Shu let out a long breath. Lien Frost Dream was shocked as she looked at the little grass that had come back from the dead. Then her face paled. "Yu Shuang, you treacherous woman, you actually had your summoned beast fake its death. Isn't your summoned beast a phoenix? Why don't you just have it be reborn from the ashes?" Ning Shu said without a care in the world. Although the little grass was ordinary, it had a tenacious life force that couldn't be burned away by a wildfire. "Yu Shuang, what kind of attitude is this? I'll kill you." Lien Frost Dream was so angry that her face paled. "The match is already over. Do you still want to fight me?" Ning Shu lightly said. Lien Frost Dream was angered by Ning Shu's attitude, her lungs about to explode. Her face paled. "Your summoned beast is alive, but my summoned beast is dead. I'll have you pay for my summoned beast with your life." Lien Frost Dream glanced at the trapped white tiger. This person was simply unreliable. It was as if she had come here to play. If it weren't for the fact that she had something she wanted, this evil beast wouldn't have bothered with her at all. "My summoned beast relied on its own ability to survive. If your summoned beast didn't survive, what does that have to do with me?" Ning Shu snappily said. "Yu Shuang, don't be too arrogant." Lien Frost Dream clenched her teeth so hard that her gums were bleeding. Her mind was in chaos. There was simply no way for her to eliminate the resentment in her heart. Whether it was for her own face or for the grudge between them, Lien Frost Dream wanted to kill Ning Shu to alleviate the grief in her heart. Chapter 1031. "Yu Shuang, I will kill you." Lien Frost Dream's eyes were red as a bead slowly rose from her head. This bead was blood red, and it seemed as if blood energy was surging within it. Sometimes, it would change, dazzling anyone who saw it. Lien Frost Dream had placed all of her hopes on this bead. As long as someone was sucked into this bead, they would be lost inside, never to leave. Moreover, this bead could help her summon powerful summoned beasts. As soon as the bead came out, the trapped white tiger stared at it. Ning Shu looked at the bead floating above Lien Frost Dream's head. What was this bead? Lien Frost Dream was so eager to kill her that she had even taken out her own hidden card. "Yu Shuang, I never thought that we would reach this step. I truly thought of you as a friend, but you actually cruelly killed my summoned beast." Lien Frost Dream coldly said. Ning Shu didn't want to listen to Lien Frost Dream speak. In any case, Lien Frost Dream would always be the victim. She was the traitor who didn't know what was good for her. "Ning Shu." 2333's voice suddenly sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu was surprised. Wasn't 2333 supposed to complete his data? Why would he suddenly appear? Have you completed the data? Ning Shu vigilantly looked at Lienfrost's dream as he asked 2333 in his mind. How is that possible? 2333 snappily said, the space system is about to explode. What's wrong? The soul bead exploded. Exploded? Ning Shu held his head in his hands. How could it explode? It's not an explosion, but it's extremely restless. It's jumping around in the system space like a marble. 2333 said. Ning Shu, what had happened that she didn't know about? Ning Shu carefully asked, what happened? It's that bead that caught your eye. What bead is that? Ning Shu asked. Seeing Lienfrost's dream throw the bead at him, Ning Shu quickly dodged. As soon as he approached the bead, Ning Shu felt a massive suction force pull him into the bead. What sort of evil thing was this? What is this thing? Ning Shu anxiously asked. There are animals in this world that can freely pass through planes. For instance, you were a mouse. There are also things that can freely pass through planes and take things from another plane and bring them here. This kind of thing can ignore all rules. Spatial barriers are nothing to it. Ning Shu was dumbfounded. Damn, there were so many strange and heaven-defying things in this world. Lienfrost's summons were all summoned by this heaven-defying bead. Then, how did this bead recognize Frost's dream as its master? Ning Shu didn't dare to approach the pearl, fearing that the pearl would suck her in. Why was the soul pearl drooling over it? Let me go and I'll work with you to control this bead. How about that? The trapped white tiger suddenly asked Ning Shu. As Lienfrost's dream heard this, her face twisted with anger. For better or worse, the white tiger was her summoned beast. For it to suddenly betray her like this made her feel extremely embarrassed. Ning Shu ignored the white tiger. Little grass stretched out its vines and quietly dragged away the phoenix's corpse, instantly absorbing the phoenix's energy. The corpse had been destroyed. Then little grass stretched out its vines towards the white tiger, but it was blocked. The beast trapping art had trapped the white tiger, making it so that no one could enter. Ning Shu was chased all over the place by a bead. He was afraid that little grass would be taken away by the bead, so he called little grass back. Ning Shu anxiously asked 2333, is there any way to obtain this master bead? Isolate the spiritual connection between the master and the bead. 2333 said. Damn, how was he going to isolate it? Lienfrost's dream's face was cold. As she saw Ning Shu being chased around like a mouse, she felt her anger rise. Ever since she crossed over, she had never been in such a difficult situation. This was all because of Yu Shuangshuang. Frost Dream, are you all right? Lienfrost's dream's companions came up and worriedly asked her. The previous battle wasn't something that they could intervene in. Now that the battle had stopped, they could come over and take a look at the situation. Ning Shu took a deep breath. No matter what, he had to try. Ning Shu released the golden dragon from his dantian. As soon as the golden dragon came out, it opened its mouth and swallowed the bead. Then, it returned to Ning Shu's dantian. The bead floated in Ning Shu's dantian's spirit lake. It actually began to absorb the spiritual energy in his dantian like a glutton. Ning Shu. Damn. If it continued to absorb like this, then no matter how much spiritual energy she had, it wouldn't be enough. This was simply putting a scourge into his body. Courting death. I'll take the bead. 2333 said. Hurry up. An inexplicable strength wrapped around the bead and it disappeared. Ugh. Lienfrost's dream clutched her head and fell to her knees. With a puff, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her complexion was one of incomparable pain and panic. She couldn't sense the existence of the bead. Where had her bead gone? Without the bead, how was she supposed to summon her summons? What was she supposed to do? Without the bead, she had returned to her original state. This couldn't happen, this couldn't happen. Lienfrost's dream, what's wrong? Mu Ziki anxiously asked Lienfrost's dream. Lienfrost's dream didn't bother wiping the blood from her lips. Ning Shu rushed over, his face ferocious. You Shuang, give me back my bead. That's mine. Who cares about yours? Ning Shu took out a bead and tossed it to Lien Frost Dream. This bead was exactly the same as the one Lien Frost Dream had. He finally discovered one of 2333's advantages, and that was that he could make a fake that was similar. Ning Shu didn't want Lien Frost Dream to ask for things from him every day, so he might as well let her play around with the fake. Lien Frost Dream hurriedly caught the bead and let out a sigh of relief. This thing had finally returned to her hands. Lien Frost Dream clearly knew that everything she had was given to her by this bead. Without this bead, it was impossible for her to be strong. However, this bead no longer had a spiritual connection to her, so she had no way of controlling it. Lien Frost Dream, do you want to kill me now? Ning Shu released Little Grass. Little Grass stretched out its vines and wrapped around Lien Frost Dream. Lien Frost Dream was caught off guard by the vines, and the bead in her hand fell to the ground. Her complexion immediately changed. She wanted to pick up the bead, but she was tied up and unable to move. You Shuang, you're taking advantage of me. Lien Frost Dream shouted at Ning Shu as she struggled. Her face was pale and she bit her lips, stubbornly looking at Ning Shu. Mu Ziki saw that Lien Frost Dream was tied up. Ning Shu roared, You Shuang, let go of Lien Frost Dream, otherwise I'll teach you a lesson. How will you teach me a lesson? Ning Shu indifferently said. Little Grass stretched out its vines and wrapped them around Mu Ziki. Mu Ziki's complexion changed. He had been tied up too many times. He didn't even know how many times he had been tied up. Chapter 1032. Little Grass tied up Frost Dream and Mu Ziki. She excitedly asked Ning Shu, Master, can I whip them now? Ning Shu always felt that Little Grass had gone astray. Where did she learn this strange habit from? You Shuang, the competition is over. Teacher Wen stood on the golden dragon. Ning Shu said, the people behind still have to compete. Oh. Ning Shu had Little Grass release the two people. Even though Teacher Wen was speaking up for her, Frost Dream still felt hatred towards him. She had a good impression of Teacher Wen, but Teacher Wen was biased towards Yu Shuang. He felt that Yu Shuang was strong, so he was biased towards her. Since you don't care, then I'll give up. Yu Shuang, I won't forget that you killed my summoned beast. Frost Dream was released by the vines. She quickly picked up the bead on the ground and angrily shouted at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was about to speak when he suddenly turned his head to look at the distant sky. There was a black mass flying towards them. Moreover, it was extremely fast. The black dot was growing larger and larger. Teacher Wen also looked over. Soon, they arrived above the academy. It was a group of griffins. On the back of each griffin stood a guard in armor. It's the Empire's Griffin team. What is the Griffin team doing at our academy? The students were all talking. Ning Shu was the first to react. The Griffin team was the divine weapon of Mu Ziki's grandfather. Ning Shu looked up at the person at the front of the Griffin team. This was a robust man with a white beard. He was standing on the back of a giant bird. The bird's feathers were very beautiful. It was like a peacock that had been magnified many times. It looked very similar to Miss Mu's summoned beast that had died under the man-eating tree. However, this bird was much stronger than Miss Mu's. Grandfather? Mu Ziki saw Marshal Mu and quickly shouted. He had an embarrassed expression as he pulled at his tattered clothes. Marshal Mu looked down at his grandson's injuries. How did you end up in such a sorry state? Mu Ziki lowered his head and didn't speak. Marshal Mu, why did you summon the academy? You even brought the Griffin team with you. What you're doing is a little inappropriate. Teacher Wen stood on the head of the golden dragon and said gently, Teacher Wen, I'll have to trouble you today. I'm here to seek justice for my dead granddaughter. Marshal Mu said politely, but he wasn't afraid of the summoning academy. Teacher Wen's expression didn't change. As far as I know, your granddaughter has already graduated from the Summoners Academy. What justice are you seeking now? Marshal Mu, although our Summoners Academy doesn't have the Griffin team, we aren't afraid of them. If the Summoners Academy didn't have any strong people, How could it stand tall among the countries? Marshal Mu stroked his white beard and said, I'm only here to arrest the murderer of my daughter. I hope Instructor Wen can make things easier for me. A general of a country, a pillar of the empire, speaking like this to Teacher Wen was already giving him face. Ning Shu instantly had a bad premonition in his heart. Damn, could it be that he had found out about her? Strictly speaking, the eldest daughter of the Mu family was killed by the man-eating tree. At most, she could be considered to have left her in the lurch and robbed her of her wealth. Teacher Wen asked, Who is it? You tell me who it is? Marshal Mu waved his hand and a guard escorted a person over. Ning Shu took a look and saw that it was De Yong. De Yong's body was covered in blood and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he had been severely tortured. The Mu family had actually found out about De Yong. Ning Shu thought about all kinds of things in his heart. He wanted to let Xiao Chao entangle Mu Ziki, but if there was any movement, he would be in a disadvantageous situation. Look, is there the person you're talking about here? Marshal Mu stroked his beard and said to De Yong. De Yong's eyes stopped on Ning Shu's body. Are you okay? Ning Shu asked De Yong. De Yong shook his head. Marshal Mu said, A group of people went to the fallen mountain range, and only the two of you survived. My granddaughter was robbed of all her money. How dare you say it wasn't you? I went to your house to investigate. Your house was originally poor, but now I found a lot of gold coins in your house. Ning Shu's expression changed. What did you do to my parents? They were locked up in the heavenly prison. Marshal Mu lightly said, The talented children of the Mu family died, so they had to pay the price. Not only did they offend nobles, but they also assassinated them. Ning Shu's veins popped out on his forehead. The plot was really fucked up. The Yu family still suffered a calamity. When Yu Shuangshuang used a dagger to attack Lien Frost's dream, her family also suffered. Sister. Little Bean ran onto the stage and stood in front of Ning Shu. Don't you dare hurt my sister. Ning Shu pulled Little Bean behind her and said coldly, I don't know what you're talking about. Back then, De Yong and I had joined the mercenary team to escort Lady Mu to the Jade Wave Cold Pond in the Fallen Mountain Range to pick the Snow Soul Lotus Seed. Everyone was killed by the Mu family's elderly and used as bait. I made a prompt decision and ran away with De Yong. Marshal, it's the same as what the mercenary said. The guard said to Marshal Mu. Marshal Mu lightly said, But you returned to the Fallen Mountain Range. No matter what, you have to pay with your life for my granddaughter. Marshal Mu said. Grandfather, did she really kill my sister? Mu Ziki's eyes were red as he looked at Ning Shu. Yu Shuangshuang, you really are ruthless. My sister had no enmity with you. Why did you kill her? I already said, I didn't kill her. Ning Shu raised his chin. Instead, it was your Mu family that killed the mercenaries. If we didn't run fast enough, we would have been poisoned to death by the Mu family serpent. I don't have the ability to kill the Mu family's young miss. My family's money came from the gold coins I obtained from killing magical beasts. Ning Shu loudly shouted, Without any evidence, what right do you have to arrest my parents and throw them into prison? Naturally, I will arrest them after investigating thoroughly. If you want evidence, I will naturally give it to you. Arrest him. Marshal Mu waved his hand and the Griffin team rushed towards Ning Shu. Xiao Chao stretched out countless vines and entangled the Griffin team that was rushing towards Ning Shu. The Little Bean stretched out his fist and punched the guard, sending him flying. The entire arena was covered with vines and the guard couldn't get close to Ning Shu at all. Ning Shu stood in the air and coldly looked at Marshal Mu. What is the evidence that Marshal Mu is talking about? If you can't produce evidence, I will not surrender. What you need to do now is to prove that you are not the murderer, not ask me for evidence. Marshal Mu stood on the back of the giant bird with his hands behind his back. Ning Shu. Damn. What was the difference between proving that he was innocent and proving that he was Yu Shuangshuang and that his name was Yu Shuangshuang? Being accused of murder and having to prove that he was innocent? Shouldn't he prove that she was guilty? Chapter 1033. Ning Shu was speechless. The Mu family was too domineering. They deliberately found people to vent their anger. Why didn't they say that the Mu family killed so many mercenaries? Xiao Chao was very happy to tie people up. The little bean was able to beat back the tall and strong guards. Although the little bean was small, the guards were no match for the little bean. Mentor Wen stood on the dragon's head and stared at the little bean without saying anything. But his eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Mentor Wen didn't say anything about the grudge between Ning Shu and the Mu family. He didn't judge who was right and who was wrong. Little one, I asked you to take care of the academy. What are you doing now? The Empire's Griffin team came to the academy. An old man in a long robe appeared. This old man's robe was dirty and stained with some unknown stains. The old man looked quite wretched. He was balding and had a Mediterranean hairstyle. His bald head was greasy. Dean. Huang Jinlong lowered his head. Mentor Wen walked down the dragon's head and walked to the dean. What happened? The dean touched his head and felt the grease on his hands. He wiped the grease on his hands on his robe. Tutor Wen explained the whole story to him. The dean stared at the little bean. It's quite powerful. Dean, I think it's time to make a move. The siblings cultivate Do Qi. This Do Qi is quite powerful. It's time for summoners to rise. Summoners no longer need to rely on the protection of summoned beasts. Mentor Wen stood next to the dean and stared at the siblings. You want me to save them? The dean touched his head again and felt the grease on his hands. He wanted to wipe it on Mentor Wen's body. Mentor Wen took a step back. Teacher, I'm serious. The dean nodded and shouted at Marshal Mu. Old Mu, why did you come to my academy? You even brought so many people with you. You scared my students. Old Luo, you know that my granddaughter was killed. Do you want to make things difficult for me? Marshal Mu obviously had a good relationship with the dean. There's no evidence to prove that she killed your granddaughter. Old Mu, children and grandchildren are free and happy. Don't go backward. With so many people, can I take it as putting pressure on the academy? The dean said. Old Luo, you can think of it that way. Marshal Mu clasped his hands behind his back and said indifferently, the people of the Mu family have not shown their talents for too long and have forgotten the prestige of the Mu family. Everyone dares to kill a member of the Mu family. Ning Shu glanced at the balding dean and was a little surprised. Was this dirty and greasy dean going to stand up for her? Ning Shu glanced at Mentor Wen. Ning Shu nodded and gave Ning Shu a reassuring look. Ning Shu was baffled. Were the dean and Mentor Wen trying to offend Marshal Mu to protect her? Was the academy that protective of its students? No matter what the other party's motive was, he had to get through this hurdle first. Old Luo, you're not going against me for a commoner, are you? Marshal Mu's expression was a little ugly. Outside of this academy, you can do whatever you want. But in this academy, if you capture a student from my academy like this, our Summoner's Academy will lose face. We have to give face to each other, the balding old man said. Even Frost Dream saw that both Mentor Wen and the dean were protecting Yu Shuangshuang. She didn't know what was wrong with her bead, but there was no way for her to communicate with it. She also couldn't summon any more beasts. Dean, even if Yu Shuangshuang is a student of the academy, you still cannot shield a murderer. Yu Shuangshuang said, looking at Ning Shu floating in the air. With Yu Shuangshuang's strength, it is possible for her to kill Mu Ziqi's elder sister. Yu Shuangshuang also said that Old Li wanted to kill Yu Shuangshuang, but she managed to escape. Yu Shuangshuang's heart was filled with resentment and she wanted to retaliate against the Mu family's young miss. This is completely reasonable. Even Frost Dream was extremely disgusted now. She had lost control of her bead. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. You lost to me and your heart is filled with resentment. You want to pin everything on me? Even Frost Dream, can you be any worse? I already said that I didn't kill Miss Mu, so I didn't. Ning Shu lightly said. If you insist on pinning this crime on me, then I can only fight to the death. Neither of us will have an easy time. Yu Shuangshuang, I never thought that you would be so cruel and merciless. You couldn't confess to me, so you resented my elder sister and killed her. Mu Ziqi's eyes were red with anger. Ning Shu. You're crazy. Ning Shu rubbed his forehead, feeling helpless. This person was the righteous one and she was the villain. If you wanted to pin a crime on someone, you could always find a pretext. My eyes must have been covered with shit before. That's why I liked a pretty boy like you. Ning Shu snorted disdainfully. Pa pa pa. Little grass swung its vines at the entangled guard. As Mu Ziki heard this sound, his face darkened. As he recalled the scene of him being whipped, his entire body ached. Old Luo, are you really not going to back down? Marshal Mu calmly asked the balding old man. Old Mu, the dead cannot testify. No one knows how your granddaughter died. It's better to just let this matter go. The balding old man said. If we don't let it go? As long as she's in the academy today, you can't take her away. Marshal Mu sneered. It doesn't matter. We don't have to capture her. We can use her parents as punishment. Marshal Mu turned around and was about to fly away. Catch Mu Ziki, Ning Shu said to Little Grass. With lightning speed, Little Grass stretched out her vines and wrapped around Mu Ziki, dragging him over. Marshal Mu's expression was furious. Let go of Ziki. I can let go, but you have to use my parents in exchange. Ning Shu stepped on Mu Ziki's body. If my parents are hurt because of this, Mu Ziki will also be hurt. Ning Shu sternly said. Marshal Mu was someone who had been on the battlefield. How could he be scared by Ning Shu? He calmly said, Do you know what you are doing? I know. You are the Empire's marshal. You can kill my family, but I have a chance to escape. I can come back stronger to take revenge. As long as you can't kill me, I will make it so that you won't be able to eat or sleep in peace. Ning Shu looked righteous on the surface, but in his heart he was thinking about how to protect the Yu clan. In the storyline, the Yu clan had all died. Ning Shu always felt that the storyline was trying to eliminate him. Now, he was facing off against Marshal Mu. Marshal Mu was the pillar of the empire who had millions of soldiers. Marshal Mu sneered. No one had ever talked to him like this. What do you dare to do to Ziki? You can't even leave the summoning academy. Marshal Mu narrowed his eyes and stared sharply at Ning Shu. Ning Shu shrugged indifferently. Then I won't go out. Chapter 1034. My parents are lowly commoners. It's enough for the young master of the Mu family to be buried with them. Ning Shu said aloud. In his mind, he said to Xiao Chao, Whip him. Xiao Chao raised her vines and slapped Mu Ziki's body. Wherever the vines hit, there would be a hole in his clothes. Mu Ziki gritted his teeth and endured it. He was too embarrassed to cry out. Why was it him again? Mu Ziki couldn't count how many times it had been. In public and in front of his grandfather, he was in such a sorry state. His grandfather would be disappointed in him. He had ruined the reputation and pride of the Mu family. Mu Ziki was furious. Yu Shuangshuang, this woman, was doing it on purpose. She resented him for rejecting her confession before, so she humiliated him again and again. Mu Ziki wished he could dig a hole in the ground and clench his teeth to save his last bit of dignity. Marshal Mu's face was gloomy. He waved to his deputy general beside him, Bring him over. The deputy general flew away on the griffin. Stop. Ning Shu said to Xiao Chao. The whole place was silent as the two sides confronted each other. The dean approached Teacher Wen. Teacher Wen took a step back and said gently, Dean, you've just returned from your travels. You should go wash up. This girl's temper is too fierce. Is it really good for her to stay at the academy? The dean touched his head and looked at Ning Shu. She's just a corner dog. She doesn't even have the spirit to resist. How can she become a strong person? There were too many setbacks on the road to becoming a strong person. Perseverance was everything. Blindly compromising wouldn't solve the problem. The dean wiped his hands on his robe. Not long after, Yu Shuangshuang's parents were brought over. Both of them had wounds on their bodies. Father, mother? The little bean shouted at his parents-in-law on the griffin. His cheeks were tightly clenched. The deputy general grabbed his parents-in-law and got off the griffin. When they landed, their faces were twisted in pain. Their feet were pierced by something and there were several nail-sized bloody holes. Let them go now. Marshal Mu said. Let my parents go first. Ning Shu's face was cold. Go. The deputy general kicked his parents-in-law who were on the ground. The two elders' feet were injured, so it was difficult for them to walk. Xiao Chao stretched out her vines to wrap around the two elders and pulled them to Ning Shu's side. Ning Shu let go of Mu Ziki and kicked him. Scram. Marshal Mu pulled Mu Ziki onto the giant bird, glanced at Ning Shu, and flew away. Ning Shu let out a long sigh. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Mentor. Dean Ning Shu and Mentor Wen thanked him. There's a tutor's room in the school. You can settle your parents down first. I'll have something to discuss with you later, Tutor Wen said as he gave Ning Shu 2 more bottles of potion. Take this and give it to your parents. Ning Shu took the medicine. He was so thoughtful. What did Instructor Wen want to do? Ning Shu nodded and brought his injured parents-in-law to the academy's tutor's room. He fed his parents the medicine and prepared some food. He must not have had a good meal in prison. The family of 4 now lived in the academy. Little Bean, take good care of your parents. I'll go find the tutor. Ning Shu patted Little Bean's shoulder. Little Bean nodded heavily. Sister, don't worry. Ning Shu went to the dean's building and knocked on the door. Come in. Ning Shu opened the door and saw the dean and Mentor Wen inside. The dean finally wore a clean white robe today, but his hair was still oily and covered with a few strands of sparse hair. This was so wretched. Was this guy really the dean of the academy? Dean Mentor Wen, Ning Shu said, thank you again for stepping forward. Mentor Wen pointed at the chair. Sit. Oh, thank you. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Could it be that he was interested in her breasts? I called you here to ask what fighting aura is. Mentor Wen asked. Ning Shu said, actually, it's a kind of martial arts technique. Don't talk to me about martial arts. I've said before that I know all the martial arts techniques in the world. There's no fighting aura like you're talking about. Mentor Wen looked at Ning Shu gently. Please tell me the truth. It's a kind of cultivation secret manual. Then do we know the specific content of this secret manual? Mentor Wen looked at Ning Shu, and the golden dragon you released, I can feel that it's not a living thing. That's the force formed by cultivating fighting aura, Ning Shu said. Yu Shuang, the academy can open a special fighting aura department. Can you give this secret manual to the students? Mentor Wen asked. Ning Shu looked at Mentor Wen and asked, why? Mentor Wen was asking for the secret manual in a roundabout way, but this method was easy to accept. Mentor Wen said, I study all the martial arts techniques in the world. I hope that summoners can grow strong like summoned beasts and rely on summoned beasts for protection. I hope that summoners can fight together with summoned beasts. Your brother can be so strong without summoned beasts. If summoners cultivate fighting aura, they will be even stronger. Open a department for fighting aura? Ning Shu straightened her back. Then am I a mentor? Of course. That's good. Ning Shu nodded in agreement, then asked hesitantly, what about the Mu family? As long as you're in the academy, Old Man Mu won't be able to hurt you. The old man promised Ning Shu. Then I can know the content of the secret manual. Mentor Wen's voice was urgent. I want to see what this martial arts technique is like. Ning Shu stood up. Wait for me to go back and write the secret manual. I'll go with you. Mentor Wen also stood up. Ning Shu looked up and down at Mentor Wen. You saved me for the secret manual? Yes. Thank you, Mentor. No matter what, the Summoning Academy had saved her. If it weren't for the presence of the Dean and Mentor Wen, a big battle would have been inevitable. Moreover, she didn't know what her parents-in-law would be like now. Your secret manual concerns everyone, Mentor Wen said gently. Ning Shu wrote the secret manual and handed it to Mentor Wen. Mentor Wen studied it carefully. When he encountered something he wasn't clear about, he would ask Ning Shu. Ning Shu watched from the side as Mentor Wen cultivated the ultimate martial arts technique. It didn't take long for Mentor Wen to sense the energy. It was faster than Ning Shu expected. Mentor Wen had a foundation in martial arts. However, ordinary martial arts tempered the body, while ultimate martial arts tempered the muscles and bones and perfected the body. It's indeed quite powerful. Mentor when withdrew the energy. In this case, you won't have to watch from the side in future battles. This was the drawback of summoners. With the help of summoned beasts, the summoner's job was to constantly strengthen and nurture their summoned beasts, but they neglected themselves. Of course. Ning Shu stretched. Can I go now? Prepare well. The fighting aura department is coming out soon. Chapter 1035. Teacher Wen wasn't the only one who started practicing the peerless martial arts. Even the balding old man had started practicing. The balding old man reached out his greasy hand and held Ning Shu's hand. Thank you, Teacher Yu. Ning Shu. Ning Shu pulled his hand back and saw that his hand was greasy. He said, Dean, you have to wash your hair frequently. The balding old man touched his head. I don't have much hair, it doesn't matter if I wash it or not. The Do Chi department was soon released. The school allowed the students to practice the Do Chi department at the same time. Ning Shu wore a teacher's robe and went to the classroom to take a look. There were only 2 students. One was a little bean and the other was an older student, De Yong. Ning Shu wasn't disappointed. Although the peerless martial arts were powerful, in the eyes of a respected summoner, it was still a mediocre martial art. Ning Shu wasn't in a hurry. There were still many days ahead. Anyway, she was now a teacher of the summoner's school. Her monthly salary was enough to support the Yu family. Now that the relationship with the Mu family was tense, Ning Shu didn't plan on leaving the summoner's school. Ning Shu would teach his brother and disciple. For a long time, Ning Shu didn't have any new students. The Mu family had sent a message that anyone who went to the Do Chi department would be listed as an enemy. The Do Chi department was even more deserted. Don't worry, gold will always shine. The balding dean comforted Ning Shu while reaching out his greasy hand to hold Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu rolled his eyes and put his hand behind his back. Wretched old man. Dean, I'm not in a hurry. Ning Shu wasn't in a hurry at all. With the protection of the summoner's school, he could still practice. Good attitude, not bad, not bad. Ning Shu became a teacher and Mu Ziki dropped out of the summoner's school. With Mu Ziki's arrogant personality, how could he see Ning Shu standing high above? Mu Ziki returned to his family and vowed to become strong and take revenge. Not only did Mu Ziki drop out, but Frost Dream also dropped out. Although she found the bead, she had no way to communicate with it or summon a powerful beast. The bead was now useless. However, for better or worse, Frost Dream was still a transmigrator. Her soul and mind could be considered formidable. By relying on the summoner's methods, she was able to summon a summoned beast. However, the newly summoned beasts were not as powerful as the ones summoned by the beads. Furthermore, he could summon multiple beasts at once. But now, she only had one summoned beast. Even Frost Dream found this hard to accept, unable to accept such a disparity. Lien Frost Dream had always been proud of the strength of her summoned beasts. But now, she was no different from an ordinary summoner. She had no advantage at all. Even Frost Dream regretted releasing the bead. This sort of hidden card was something that she would rather die than release. In truth, Frost Dream also had a powerful summoned beast, the White Tiger. The White Tiger was summoned to this world, and without the pearl, he could not return. But the White Tiger simply wasn't under Lien Frost Dream's control. This caused her to be on edge. The White Tiger's goal was to obtain the bead. Frost Dream had tricked the White Tiger into coming here and then used the bead to send the White Tiger away. Now that this scourge was by his side, he would see a white-haired White Tiger every day when he woke up. If she could still communicate with the bead, she would absolutely send the White Tiger away. Even Frost Dream regretted summoning the White Tiger and taking out the bead. Frost Dream felt extremely uncomfortable. She had fallen from the highest and most revered position in the world. Not everyone could withstand falling from such a high pedestal. There were far too many people who were unable to recover from such a setback. Frost Dream loathed her summoned beasts. She had even deliberately killed them in order to summon another powerful summoned beast. She had summoned dragons, phoenixes, white tigers, and all sorts of other powerful summoned beasts. As for the weaker summoned beasts, Frost Dream didn't even care about them. Even a summoned beast like the Meat-Wing Dragon would be fine. Frost Dream had summoned a new summoned beast. That could be considered acceptable, but Frost Dream didn't care about it. Moreover, this summoned beast wasn't smart at all. It was as different as the heavens and earth from her previous summoned beasts. Everyone else focused on raising their summoned beasts and accompanying them as they grew stronger. But Frost Dream's starting point was far too high. She didn't have the patience to raise a summoned beast step by step. The mercenary team that she had formed also disbanded. Like this, the team that would shake the entire continent was disbanded. Frost Dream had personally disbanded the team. She was originally the leader of the team, but now she didn't have the ability to summon a powerful summoned beast. She didn't have the ability to summon multiple powerful summoned beasts. Rather than being questioned and humiliated by others, she might as well disband the team herself. The higher her starting point was, the more awkward Frost Dream's current situation was, and the more uncomfortable Frost Dream felt. What Frost Dream couldn't stand the most was that the weak Yu Shuang that she had needed to protect had become powerful and had even become an instructor of the academy. Without the bead, it was impossible for her to catch up to Yu Shuang. Powerlessness and irritation filled Frost Dream's heart. Frost Dream even ran to the academy and cursed Ning Shu for being a traitor who had betrayed their friendship. Ning Shu had little grass wrap around Frost Dream and then toss her out of the academy. What was this about friendship? When Frost Dream spoke, she didn't feel any guilt at all, as if she were the victim. She didn't have the mood or the time to speak such meaningless words to Frost Dream. Ning Shu was currently focusing on training his little brother. It was almost time for the academy competition, and this time the Battle Chi department would have to participate. De Yong was a middle-aged man. How could he possibly participate in such a competition? Moreover, De Yong spent most of his time doing mercenary missions. Ning Shu was counting on the Little Bean to make the Battle Chi department famous. The Little Bean's energy had already begun to form, but he didn't know what kind of energy the Little Bean would form. Ning Shu stayed by the Little Bean's side, watching him cultivate. The Little Bean opened his eyes and Ning Shu quickly asked, "What kind of energy did you form?" The Little Bean's expression was a bit strange as he released his own energy. The energy was in the shape of a mermaid, and the mermaid held a trident in her hand. However, Little Bean's Qi Jin was very unstable, so it dissipated in an instant. Not bad. Ning Shu patted the Little Bean's shoulder. "Big sister, what is this? Why isn't it a dragon?" The Little Bean was quite envious of Ning Shu's golden dragon. "Compared to Big Sister, yours is stronger." Ning Shu said, "It's a bit like a thunder naga." The highest level of Battle Chi is to give life to the energy. Ning Shu could already feel that this energy could create a life. Even now, Ning Shu hadn't been able to bring her dragon back to life and give it intelligence. It was only developing in that direction. Can it be like a summoned beast? The Little Bean excitedly grabbed Lin Ming's hand. Maybe it can form a creature." Ning Shu said. Chapter 1036. Ning Shu hoped that the Little Bean could make the Do Chi department flourish. That way, there would be more people practicing martial arts and she would have more believers. When it was time for the school competition, Ning Shu comforted the nervous Little Bean, "Don't be nervous. You're stronger than them." Ning Shu sat in the teacher's seat in a white robe. "There are only 2 students and they still want to participate in the competition?" Teacher Wen asked Ning Shu gently. Ning Shu waved his finger. No, there's only 1 student." Relying on the Little Bean? Teacher Wen couldn't help but laugh. Relying on the Little Bean to challenge everyone. Ning Shu raised his chin slightly. "Of course. Let's make a bet. If my brother enters the top 50, I'll take 2 scales from your golden dragon. How about that?" Ning Shu said to Teacher Wen. Xiao Chao had been sleeping for a while after absorbing the nirvana flame of the phoenix. When she woke up, she was much stronger. She stretched out countless vines and covered the entire school. Her intelligence also increased a lot. Xiao Chao coveted the attributes of her teacher's summoned beast, the golden dragon. The golden dragon was a metal-type summoned beast and had a strong destructive power. Of course I don't dare to underestimate Do Chi. You can't bet on things like scales. Teacher Wen said lightly. Ning Shu pouted, boring. Xiao Chao floated around Ning Shu and chattered. Ning Shu said, he's so stingy. It's his summoned beast after all. It's normal not to bet. Ning Shu didn't care. Does your golden dragon shed its skin? Ning Shu asked Teacher Wen again. Teacher Wen stared at the battle on the stage and said gently, my dragon is a dragon, not a snake. It doesn't shed its skin. Ning Shu didn't ask any more and stared at the situation on the stage. It was time for the little bean to go on stage. Next, Yu Jun against Zhou Tian. Little Bean entered the arena in his martial attire. He had a serious smile on his face as he looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled and nodded at Little Bean. The match began. Little Bean clenched his fists and started fighting with his opponent's summoned beast. Sigh, if the summoner had cultivated battle aura, the chances of winning would be much higher in a 2-on-1. Instructor Wen couldn't help but sigh when he saw the summoner watching the battle from the side. Summoners looked down on people who practiced martial arts. This concept was deeply ingrained and wasn't easy to change. Little Bean didn't even release his chi and defeated his opponent's summoned beast with his own fists and kicks. Yu Junxing. A smile emerged on Ning Shu's face. Awesome. Ning Shu high-fived Little Bean. Very good. Teacher Wen praised the Little Bean. In the next few matches, Little Bean played steadily. Ning Shu asked, what level are you at now? I have to form the chi form you mentioned. Teacher Wen clenched his fists and felt the restless power in his body. Ning Shu laughed proudly. Little Bean has already formed the chi form. Cultivation doesn't mean that you're good at it just because you're older. That's true. Teacher Wen nodded in agreement. Ning Shu asked again, your golden dragon never sheds scales? Teacher Wen glanced at Ning Shu. At least I've never seen it. Tisk tsk tsk? Ning Shu shook his head. What's the difference between this and a person who doesn't shed leg hair? Your golden dragon is unhealthy. Teacher Wen. Little Bean defeated his opponent and advanced to the top 200. The day's matches were over. At this moment, someone jumped onto the arena and shouted, Yu Shuang, accept my challenge if you have the ability. Ning Shu stared at Mu Ziki silently. Why did he come over to challenge her for no reason? Mu Ziki, aren't you a student of the academy? Why did you come over to challenge me? Did you eat too much? Ning Shu angrily said. Mu Ziki stood on the arena stage and looked down at Ning Shu. Do you not dare to accept my challenge? Ning Shu understood Mu Ziki's thoughts. He wanted to wash away his shame. But what surprised Ning Shu was that Lien Frost's dream came with Mu Ziki. Were the two of them together? Lien Bingmeng, on seeing Ning Shu looking at her, took a deep breath and said, I came here to ask you for something. Something? What do I owe you? Ning Shu was puzzled. You took my bead. Please return it to me. Lien Frost's dream lifted her chin, raising her aura so that she wouldn't appear weak in front of Ning Shu. There's something wrong with your head. Didn't I return that damned bead to you? Now you're asking me for a bead? Lien Frost's dream, is there something wrong with your head? Ning Shu said. Lien Frost's dream's face paled. In front of so many people, she felt embarrassed to be called crazy. She was the proud mercenary queen. If this was before she had transmigrated, she would have already shot her to death. If she had been able to summon a powerful summoned beast, she would have had her phoenix burn her to ashes. But now, she understood that she wasn't his match. What you gave me was a fake. You took the real one. Lien Frost's dream had only casually said this, but she didn't think that she would be telling the truth. Ning Shu sneered, I've never seen your bead before. You're on stage right now, so what time do I have to fake it? If you want to slander someone, you need to find a good reason. Be careful or I won't be polite to you. Yu Shuang, do you dare to accept my challenge? Mu Ziki and Ning Shu shouted from the stage. Ning Shu rolled his eyes and said to Little Grass, beat him up. Mu Ziki immediately released his summoned beast. His Luan Feng had grown a great deal. It spread its wings and flew into the air. Little Grass stretched out its vines and the Luan Feng spat fire at Little Grass. But Little Grass had absorbed the energy of the Nirvana flames and was even able to withstand the flames of the Phoenix. The Luan Feng's fire simply couldn't do anything to it. The Luan Feng dodged the vines, but there were vines everywhere and it was quickly entangled. Mu Ziki, who was on the Luan Feng's back, was pulled off the bird's back. Xiao Qiao raised her vines and whipped Mu Ziki's body. Mu Ziki's complexion was ugly. He had already done his best to raise his summoned beast. He thought that it was already very strong, but the result was still like this. Lien Frost Dream stared at Mu Ziki in a daze. Why was Yu Shuang so strong? That's enough. Ning Shu stopped Little Grass. He looked at the wounded Mu Ziki. Mu Ziki glared at Ning Shu with hatred and disgust. Ning Shu had never cared about such powerless and resentful eyes. Ning Shu had Little Grass take Mu Ziki and Lien Frost Dream and bring them to the Mu family courtyard. He had been enduring it all this time, but now that Mu Ziki had come to provoke him, he had finally found a reason. Ning Shu floated in the air above the Mu family courtyard. The Mu family courtyard was very large. Little Grass tossed the two people inside. Directly bind them. Ning Shu lightly said. Yes. Little Grass stretched out endless vines. Chapter 1037. Xiao Qiao floated in the air above the Mu residence and extended countless vines, covering the entire Mu residence. The vines extended into the rooms. The tables, chairs, all kinds of expensive porcelain, paintings in the room were all destroyed. The entire Mu residence was entangled by the vines. As long as Xiao Qiao exerted some force, the entire Mu residence would be uprooted. The Mu residence's screams rose and fell. Yu Shuang, what do you mean by this? I didn't go to find you, but you came to find me and even destroyed the Mu residence. Don't go too far. Marshal Mu stood on the back of the bird, the giant bird's wings flapping. The Griffin team followed behind Marshal Mu, eyeing Ning Shu covetously. Xiao Qiao retracted the vines, but when she retracted it, she accidentally broke one of the pillars. It was a mistake, I won't do it again. Xiao Qiao hurriedly said, I still can't control every vine accurately. Train well. Ning Shu said. Ning Shu looked at Marshal Mu and said indifferently, it was your grandson who provoked me first. At that time, you guys messed up the Yu residence. Now, it's just an eye for an eye. With power, he would have the ability to take revenge. Marshal Mu's face was cold. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because the Summoners Academy is protecting you. This is not a place where you can do whatever you want. To be honest, I'm not afraid of you. If I can't stay in this country, I can go somewhere else. The world is so big, there will be a place for me to stay. Ning Shu shrugged indifferently. The Summoners Academy didn't belong to the country, so Marshal Mu couldn't control it. Are you sure that I can't do anything to you? Mu Yuan stared at Ning Shu. Ning Shu laughed. Marshal Mu, I respect you as an elder, but you have to show the demeanor of an elder. How your granddaughter died, only God knows. But if you insist on putting the murder charge on me, don't blame me for resisting. Maybe next time, the Mu residence will no longer exist. Ning Shu turned around and walked in the air, slowly leaving. No one came out to stop Ning Shu. They just watched as Ning Shu slowly walked away. A gentle breeze blew at the corners of his robe. Marshal, the Deputy General shouted at Marshal Mu. Are we letting her go just like that? Marshal Mu rubbed his forehead. Let's do this for now. The martial skill that Yu Shuang cultivates is what the Emperor wants. This Do Qi martial skill allowed ordinary people to have a stronger fighting strength. If soldiers were to cultivate it, it would definitely increase their fighting strength. Ning Shu returned to the school and saw Little Bean waiting for her at the entrance. When the little boy saw Ning Shu, he let out a sigh of relief and shouted, Sister. Ning Shu held Little Bean's hand and walked into the school. Sister is fine. Sister, Little Bean will definitely protect Sister in the future. Little Bean patted his chest with his small hands. Ning Shu smiled. In the future, I'll rely on you to protect me. Little girl, why are you so impulsive? The dean of the Mediterranean school said to Ning Shu in a bad mood. Ning Shu said indifferently, I'm not weak now. I don't have to endure it. Otherwise, anyone can challenge me in the future. I'll be busy to death. I'm a teacher of the Summoners Academy. It's too embarrassing for the academy to be challenged by some random people. The dean nodded and then said, in the future, think twice before you do anything. You're a teacher of the Summoners Academy. Be careful of your image. Oh, Ning Shu replied. This little episode didn't affect the progress of the competition. Ning Shu accompanied Little Bean to compete every day. Little Bean successfully entered the top 100. Top 50. During the finals, Little Bean released his chi form. His Thunder Naga was already very solid. Teacher Wen saw Little Bean's chi and was stunned. I didn't expect his chi to be so strong. Of course, he's my little brother, Ning Shu said proudly, feeling proud. Little Bean finally stopped in the top 5. He didn't get first place. Little Bean was young. His chi wasn't like Ning Shu's, which had already turned golden. Ning Shu was quite happy. Little Bean was small, so he definitely couldn't be underestimated. Little Bean was a little disappointed. Ning Shu didn't comfort him. Only with setbacks could one grow. After the competition, Ning Shu's Battle Energy Academy finally had a new student. Ning Shu didn't expect that there would be a prince from the Empire. This prince was young, about the same age as Little Bean. The Empire sent the prince to learn. This was a signal. Her grudge with Marshal Mu wouldn't make her go against the Empire. She didn't rule out the possibility that the Empire wanted the Battle Energy Secret Manual. Ning Shu accepted the little prince and taught him her peerless martial arts. The secret manual wasn't the most important thing. It was the cultivation stage. She accidentally activated the advanced cultivation of the ultimate martial arts. And there was no need to make enemies. Ning Shu didn't think he was strong enough to go against the Empire. This world was full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Ning Shu taught these students. When he was free, he took these students to the Fallen Mountain Range to gain experience. Every student had a flower in their pocket. With Xiao Chao's flower, Xiao Chao could sense the student's location. This time, her goal in the Fallen Mountain Range was to find the Spirit Marrow Crystal under the icy blue Waves Lake. Ning Shu took a group of students to the edge of the icy blue Waves Lake. He let the students cultivate by the lake because the spiritual chi here was quite abundant. Master, let me absorb. Xiao Chao was unusually restless. Ning Shu nodded. Xiao Chao immediately flew to the icy blue Waves Lake and took root at the bottom of the lake. She absorbed the spiritual chi crazily. Thick white smoke rose from the lake. Rows of students sat by the lake and tried to absorb the spiritual chi, but they couldn't absorb the overflowing spiritual chi. Ning Shu also sat down cross-legged and used the ultimate martial arts to absorb the spiritual chi crazily. While Xiao Chao was absorbing the spiritual energy, dark clouds had unexpectedly floated over from the horizon and were coming over from this direction. Ning Shu stopped cultivating and was very surprised. Is this the divine punishment? Plants would be punished by the divine punishment when they became spirits. The divine punishment was a heavenly tribulation. After passing it, one could become a human. Xiao Chao was going to become a human? Master! Xiao Chao's voice trembled as she shouted to Ning Shu. Don't be afraid. This is the heavenly tribulation. As long as you pass it, you can become a human. Ning Shu comforted Xiao Chao softly and quickly took the group of students away. The divine punishment wasn't something that humans could withstand. Ning Shu sent the students out of the Fallen Mountain Range and asked Little Bean to take good care of them. Then he rushed back to the icy blue Waves Lake. The entire icy blue Waves Lake was filled with Xiao Chao's waving vines. Low dark clouds covered the sky above Xiao Chao. Boom! Lightning struck Xiao Chao's body and Xiao Chao's vines were immediately destroyed. Ning Shu heard Xiao Chao's painful moans. She didn't have any other choice. She couldn't rush up rashly. If that happened, it would be the divine punishment for both of them. The thunder was rapid and one after another struck Xiao Chao's body. Chapter 1038. Ning Shu watched from the side and was extremely anxious. He didn't dare to ask Xiao Qiao how she was doing for fear of distracting her attention. The lightning struck Xiao Cao's body and smoke rose from it. He didn't know when the heavenly punishment would end. Ning Shu didn't dare to cultivate as he was afraid that the spiritual energy fluctuations would cause the heavenly punishment to change. Ning Shu's ears were ringing from the sound of the thunder. The lightning tribulation finally weakened and the dark clouds finally dispersed. Xiao Qiao immediately floated to Ning Shu's side and cried, "You scared me to death, wah wah wah." Ning Shu heaved a sigh of relief. "You scared me to death too." Ning Shu looked at the dark clouds that were slowly drifting away and suddenly had an idea. He mobilized the spiritual energy water dragon in his dantian. He had it chase after the lightning tribulation. The golden dragon didn't want to go, but it was sent below the tribulation clouds by Ning Shu. The dark tribulation clouds seemed to have been provoked by the golden dragon and directly struck out a bolt of lightning, turning the golden dragon into water droplets. Then, the tribulation clouds proudly walked away. The golden water droplets gradually condensed into a water dragon and rushed into Ning Shu's dantian as if it was fleeing for its life. It sank into the spiritual energy lake in his dantian and didn't come out. "Ning Shu, what a coward!" Ning Shu asked Xiao Qiao, "How do you feel after surviving the heavenly punishment?" "I feel a lot more powerful." Xiao Qiao spun around and finally transformed into a little loli who was about 4 or 5 years old. She was wearing a tube-top dress made of fresh flowers and her 2 white and tender arms were exposed. Her hair was loose and her face was so tender that water could be squeezed out of it. Ning Shu wasn't a lolicon, but when he saw Xiao Qiao, his heart began to stir. She was so cute and beautiful. Ning Shu reached out and pinched Xiao Cao's face. "Oh my God, she was so comfortable." Ning Shu said with a serious expression, "Congratulations, you can transform into a human now." "Thank you, Master." Xiao Qiao hugged Ning Shu's leg and raised her head to look at Ning Shu. Oh my, this gaze was enough to melt her heart. Xiao Qiao was barefoot and there was a flower-shaped anklet on her ankle. As she walked, it made a crisp sound. Ning Shu reached out his hand, lifted Xiao Cao's hair, and tied it up with a hair tie. Xiao Qiao touched her hair and raised her head. Ning Shu smiled sweetly, revealing his pure white teeth. "Thank you, Master." Ning Shu also smiled. The harvest this time was very good. She suddenly felt that Xiao Qiao was like her own daughter. Her mission had progressed to this point, and she was afraid that she would soon leave this world. Sigh, Ning Shu took Xiao Qiao to find the little bean and prepared to go back to school. When the little bean saw Xiao Qiao, he froze for a moment and his face flushed red. He lowered his head and shyly asked, "Older sister, who is this?" "Xiao Qiao." Little bean asked again as if he didn't hear clearly, "Who?" "Xiao Qiao." Little bean. No, he wasn't. He was so cute that he couldn't be alone. Ning Shu led the group of students back to school. Xiao Qiao had also begun to practice her peerless martial arts. To be honest, Xiao Qiao was already very strong, so it didn't matter if she practiced her peerless martial arts or not. But since she wanted to practice, Ning Shu didn't say anything. In Fallen City, Ning Shu met Lien Frost Dream. Lien Frost Dream was with some mercenaries. When Lien Frost Dream saw Ning Shu, she immediately lowered her head. The difference between her and Yu Shuangshuang was like the difference between heaven and earth. Lien Frost Dream didn't know if she could defeat Yu Shuangshuang in this life, unless she could obtain some heaven-defying treasure, like that bead. But heaven-defying treasures weren't easy to obtain. If one could obtain one, one's destiny would soar to the heavens. If one wanted to obtain another, where would there be so many heaven-defying treasures waiting for them? Lien Frost Dream wasn't willing to accept this. She was a transmigrator, so how could she live in such a sorry state? The once incomparably powerful bead was now useless. When Ning Shu saw Lien Frost Dream, he lightly shifted his gaze and walked away with his students. Lien Frost Dream was afraid that Ning Shu would notice her, but he really didn't care about her. Lien Frost Dream felt humiliated, as if she had been looked down upon. She had suffered bitterly, and hated him to the point of bleeding, but he simply didn't care. This sort of contempt was even more painful than being humiliated. Without the mysterious bead, Lien Frost Dream was just an ordinary summoner. She couldn't summon many summons, and she couldn't summon summons that were stronger than the last. In the next school competition, the Battle Chi department finally had someone that could compete. They didn't need to rely on this little bean anymore. The Battle Chi department was flourishing with each passing day. And Xiao Qiao had become a new pet. When the students heard that Xiao Qiao was a summoned beast, they would come to see Xiao Qiao. Every time Teacher Wen came to the Battle Chi department, he would bring a gift for Xiao Qiao. Teacher Wen asked Ning Shu how Xiao Qiao had transformed into her human form. Ning Shu said that she had experienced heavenly tribulation. Ning Shu recorded the cultivation method of the peerless martial arts and placed it in the Battle Chi department. Many students of the plant department also came to ask Ning Shu how to raise a summoned beast. Ning Shu recorded the method of raising Xiao Qiao. Absorbing spiritual energy, magic crystals, and meat of magical beasts. Plants had the most powerful absorption ability, and the more energy they had, the better. Ning Shu also wrote down the recipe for the wisdom pill and taught the little bean how to refine it. Ning Shu's days were now very fulfilling, and he had endless things to do every day. After experiencing the baptism of the heavenly tribulation, the golden dragon seemed even more agile. When it swam in the lake of spiritual energy in his dantian, it was just like a real dragon. Ning Shu was sitting cross-legged in cultivation when 2333's voice sounded in his head, "Mission completed. Do you wish to leave the mission world?" Xiao Qiao had already gone out to play with a group of students. He wouldn't be able to see her for the last time. Forget it, he might as well leave like this. Ning Shu nodded, "Let's go." Xiao Qiao was catching fish in a river outside the school when she suddenly froze. She threw away the branch in her hand and ran into the school. "Xiao Qiao, where are you going?" The little bean ran behind Xiao Qiao and shouted, "Wait for me, don't run too fast." Ning Shu felt dizzy and returned to the system space. He slumped on the sofa and asked 2333, "Is your data done?" 2333 said, "I need to control the restless spirit orb. Otherwise, your soul will be absorbed by the spirit orb when you return to the system space." The spirit orb attacked indiscriminately. As long as it was a soul, it would absorb it. Ning Shu was now a soul and never dared to touch the spirit orb. "It's still restless? What are you going to do with the orb?" "The spirit orb wants to fuse with the orb now." 2333 asked. "If it wants to fuse with it, then let it fuse with it." Ning Shu said. "Are you willing?" 2333 asked. "This orb can break any plane's barrier. It could ignore any plane's rules. Then what should I do? The spirit orb has already gone crazy. If I give it, it's just a orb." Ning Shu said. He didn't know what would happen if the spirit orb fused with the orb. Chapter 1039. Ning Shu opened his status panel and looked at his harvests. Number, 2333. Name, Ning Shu, High-Level Mission Enforcer. Age, 27 points, 241. 5 million/5 million soul, 320 life, 101 wisdom, 304 charm, 20 luck, 149 spiritual power, 200 faith, 7515500 martial value, 222 talent, 99 merit, 1291050 skills. 5th ring spear technique, trash fighting technique, elementary peerless martial arts, elementary poison technique, elementary business management knowledge, elementary code programming, elementary lawyer skills, elementary ghost catching skills. Honorary titles, War God Empress, Selfless Ancestor items, Calm Halo, Faith Halo, Protective Charm 4, Upgraded Protective Charm 2 Halo, Mother of the World, Empress Blessing, Model Worker Sister, Chen Shi's Blessing, Leader Halo, Grass Blessing, Lifelong Friend, Miao Miao Miao's Blessing, Life-Saving Hand, Zhu Susuniang's Blessing, Founding Female General, Chen Ermiai's Blessing, Lawful Beauty, Chen Ning's Blessing, Complete Laiyue Shuangshuang's Wish, Become Strong and Defeat Lien Frost. Mission Completion Rate, 100%. Obtained 5 million points, 60 attribute points, 5,000 faith, and 50 merit points. Ning Shu looked at these stats, feeling satisfied. Moreover, he had obtained a bead. This could be considered an unexpected harvest. However, he still hadn't encountered the world source. Ning Shu didn't know when he would encounter the world source. How could something like the world source be so difficult to obtain? Ning Shu could only calm his heart. He didn't believe that he wouldn't encounter the world source in this lifetime. Ning Shu distributed the 60 attribute points, deciding to put more points into luck. If his luck was good, he might be able to encounter the world source. Number 2333. Name, Ning Shu, high-level mission enforcer. Age, 27 points, 271. 5 million soul, 320 life, 101 wisdom, 30410 charm, 20 luck, 14920 spiritual power, 20010 faith, 12515 martial value, 22210 talent, 9910 merit, 13410 skills. 5th ring shooting technique, trash fighting technique, beginner level peerless martial arts, beginner level poison technique, beginner level business management knowledge, beginner level code programming, beginner level lawyer skills, master ghost catching skills. Honorary titles, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor items, Calm Halo, Faith Halo, Amulet 4, Upgraded Amulet 2. Halo, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Sister Model Worker, Chen Shi's Blessing, Leader Halo, Chao's Blessing, Best Friend for a Lifetime, Miao Miao Miao's Blessing, Savior, Zhu Su Nyang's Blessing, Founding Female General, Chen Ermiai's Blessing, Lawful Beauty, Chen Ning's Blessing. After adding the attribute points, Ning Shu began to absorb the soul force in the system space to cultivate his soul. When it was about time, Ning Shu opened his eyes, intending to check on Yu Shuangshuang's situation. Ning Shu, I need to send you away now. The two orbs have already formed a black hole. 2333's voice suddenly rang out. His voice was filled with anxiety. Ning Shu was speechless. Where are you sending me? Ning Shu asked. In the quest world. 2333 quickly replied. But I haven't seen the client yet. What the hell are you looking at? The system space is already unstable. Just look at the next client's quest. I'll send you away. 2333 said angrily, almost gnashing his teeth. Ning Shu felt that the system space was trembling a little. Ning Shu felt that his whole body was not good. He saw that a black hole had appeared above the system space, sucking in the system space's items. Ning Shu took out the ultimate martial arts book from the bookshelf. This thing could not be swallowed by the black hole. Ning Shu opened the system storage cabinet and put the items inside. Send me away. Ning Shuchao said to 2333. She could feel a strong suction force pulling her soul towards the black hole. I'll send you away now. As soon as 2333's voice fell, Ning Shu suddenly felt that her soul was extremely uncomfortable. It felt like someone had flipped her over and spun her around in the air. It was too rough. Ning Shu's soul was attached to a body. It took a long time for her soul to fuse with it. Even after fusing with the body, Ning Shu was extremely dizzy and vomited. When Hanlei, a voice with anger sounded in Ning Shu's ears. It was very magnetic. Ning Shu heard this voice. Her body trembled and she opened her eyes dizzily. What she saw was a handsome face. It was a tall figure. Ning Shu had to raise her chin to see his face. He was wearing a well-ironed suit. But now there was a puddle of vomit on his chest. It was emitting the smell of vomit. The man grabbed Ning Shu's arm with both hands. His grip was very tight. It was very painful. Ning Shu's head was still a little dizzy. Ning Shu said, "Let go of me." Ning Shu opened his mouth and the smell of vomit hit the man's face. The man immediately let go of Ning Shu's arm. Without support, Ning Shu sat on the ground with a plop. He silently chanted the clear heart mantra to relieve the discomfort. "Uncle, let me help you wipe it." A girl about 15 or 16 years old took out a tissue and wiped the vomit on the man's body. The man frowned tightly. Ning Shu said, "When Hanlei, What are you doing? You suspect that I have other women by my side. Now you're even jealous of Bai Feifei. If you marry me, you'll be Bai Feifei's stepmother. Ning Shu was supporting himself with his arm, but when the man said that, Ning Shu's arm trembled and he almost fell flat on his face. Ning Shu turned his head and looked at the man in a daze. The man was about 20 years old, at most 30 years old. But the girl beside him was 16 years old. How did he have such an old daughter? Ning Shu counted with his fingers in his heart. This man had a daughter at 14 years old. Stop lying. Ning Shu didn't feel too good. She hadn't accepted the plot yet, so she didn't know what was going on. Ning Shu supported herself on the sofa and was about to stand up when Bai Feifei reached out to help Ning Shu. Auntie Wen, you've really misunderstood me and uncle. Get me a glass of water. I'm thirsty, Ning Shu said as she sat on the sofa. The dizziness was too uncomfortable. She did not know how 2333 was doing. 2 beads could create such a commotion. Hearing Ning Shu's instructions, Bai Feifei looked at the man first. The man nodded. Get her some water. I'll go upstairs to take a shower. Bai Feifei took some ice water from the fridge and poured it into a glass. She then brought it to Ning Shu. Ning Shu rinsed her mouth with the ice water and felt her mind clear up. She planned to accept the plot. Chapter 1040. Ning Shu leaned against the sofa, ignoring Bai Feifei who was sitting beside him. He closed his eyes and began to accept the plot. The original owner was called Wen Hanlei. She was a rich young lady. Her father owned a chain of shopping malls. The man who had been vomited on was Wen Hanlei's fiancée, Tang Yu. The Tang family was a wealthy family and had more resources than the Wen family. Wen Hanlei's engagement with Tang Yu was considered a social climb. The main reason was that the Tang family had their eyes on the Wen family's sales channels. A marriage alliance was the best way to cooperate. The Wen family was also willing to climb up to the Tang family. Tang Yu himself was also a very capable man. He was handsome and was simply a rich husband that women yearned for even in their dreams. Wen Hanlei was quite satisfied to be engaged to Tang Yu. Being engaged to Tang Yu would raise Wen Hanlei's status among her siblings in the Wen family. Wen Hanlei made marrying Tang Yu her life goal. She learned piano, flower arrangement, and etiquette. She wanted to make herself the perfect Mrs. Tang. Tang Yu was a cold person and did not care much about his life partner. At his level, it was the same no matter who he married. Wen Hanlei's heart was filled with Tang Yu. As time passed, she loved Tang Yu even more. Because she cared, she appeared to be worried about her gains and losses. Even Tang Yu's female secretary, Wen Hanlei, was sensitive. Half a year ago, Tang Yu suddenly had a half-grown daughter, Bai Feifei. Tang Yu was a cold and scheming person. He took a fancy to Bai Feifei's father's clothing brand. Clothing brands like this required a long time to accumulate. Bai Feifei's father's clothing brand had a good reputation and was considered a high-end brand. He secretly did something and emptied the Bai family's company, forcing Bai Feifei's father to jump down from his office building. Bai Feifei's mother went missing after her father's accident. Bai Feifei was the only child. With the help of her relatives, she buried her father. However, these relatives did not have good intentions. They tried every means to get money from Bai Feifei, using all kinds of coercion and bribery. Bai Feifei squatted in a corner and curled into a ball. She looked at these people arguing until their faces turned red. In order to get money and raise her, they could say all kinds of nasty things. At this moment, Tang Yu, who was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, appeared in front of Bai Feifei. He stretched out his slender and fair hand. Tang Yu claimed that he was a friend of Bai Feifei's father. Now that he was in charge of taking care of Bai Feifei, Tang Yu naturally became Bai Feifei's guardian. Instead, he was her adoptive father and adoptive daughter. After becoming Bai Feifei's guardian, Tang Yu also took over the brand that Bai Feifei had inherited. Tang Yu did not treat Bai Feifei very well, but after experiencing the changes in her family, Bai Feifei felt very insecure and was very dependent on Tang Yu. Thunder wanted to burrow into Tang Yu's blanket. Daddy, I'm scared. Daddy, there are no sanitary pads at home. Daddy, are you coming home tonight? Daddy, Tang Yu was a single man. Although he had a fiancée, he wasn't married yet. It was strange for him to suddenly become a father. Bai Feifei was a very obedient and sensible child. She would always think of ways to please Tang Yu, afraid that Tang Yu would abandon her. She was such a young and charming girl. Tang Yu was a hot-blooded man. Tang Yu was a man with strong self-control. He scrupulously abided by his duties. Bai Feifei, on the other hand, was at the age when a young girl yearned for love. She had indescribable feelings for the uncle who had saved her from danger. He always did things that went beyond the boundaries of father and daughter. She clumsily tried to please Tang Yu. After cooking, she waited for Tang Yu to come back. When Tang Yu came back in the middle of the night, he could always see Bai Feifei sleeping on the sofa. Then, he helplessly carried Bai Feifei back to the bedroom. Under Bai Feifei's attacks, Tang Yu was finally won over by Bai Feifei. He fell in love with Bai Feifei. At this time, Bai Feifei's mother appeared again. Tang Yu was afraid that Bai Feifei would find out the truth and leave him, causing Bai Feifei's mother to get into a car accident. In the end, Bai Feifei still found out the truth. She couldn't accept it. She broke down. She ran away. Tang Yu locked Bai Feifei up. You have my heart, but you still want to run away. Even if I don't break your legs, I will imprison you. All kinds of physical and mental torture, all kinds of entanglements, all kinds of breakups and reunions, all kinds of desperate love, happily together. Ning Shu's little man hammered the ground and laughed loudly in his heart. 2333333. Damn, it was this again. Ning Shu was really fed up with these kinds of people who challenged human relations and sought thrills. They were adoptive parents and adoptive daughters. From what Ning Shu knew of the law, only a couple or a man above the age of 40 could adopt a child. Why did Tang Yu, a man in his prime, adopt a child? If he had known beforehand that this was the mission, Ning Shu wouldn't have taken it. He didn't have the patience to do this kind of mission. He was most annoyed by these kinds of people who said, "The male lead abused me thousands of times, but I treated him like my first love. My skills in bed are passable. Blood feud is nothing." When Han Lei was a canon fodder female supporting character. Although she was Tang Yu's fiancée, Tang Yu's heart was never with her. When the two of them ate alone, as long as Bai Feifei called, Tang Yu would abandon when Han Lei and leave. Of course, when Han Lei would be jealous and target Bai Feifei. Tang Yu didn't have any feelings for Wen Han Lei. In Tang Yu's eyes, Wen Han Lei's actions were unreasonable and causing trouble. Naturally, he was biased towards Bai Feifei. In order to avoid his strange feelings for Bai Feifei, Tang Yu agreed to marry Wen Han Lei. In the end, at the wedding, Tang Yu found out that Bai Feifei had run away from home and went abroad, never to return. Tang Yu instantly understood his feelings for Bai Feifei and abandoned Wen Han Lei to run away. In a luxurious wedding, only the bride was left. After the event, she apologized to Tang Yu and Wen Han Lei, saying that she had found her true love and wished them happiness. It was bad enough that she was abandoned, but she still had to provoke her by saying that she had found her true love. This feeling was simply indescribable. Because of this, Wen Han Lei was mocked by her siblings at home. Recently, her father had married her off to a playboy. Wen Han Lei was indignant. What did she do wrong? Why was she treated like this? The two bitches hooked up and made her unable to raise her head. Her husband didn't treat her well either, saying that she was a broken shoe that Tang Yu didn't want. Entertainment magazines were full of scenes of Tang Yu and Bai Feifei showing off their love. When Bai Feifei was 18 years old, Tang Yu proposed to Bai Feifei. The two of them were truly in love. When Wen Han Lei saw the media report on Tang Yu and Bai Feifei's relationship and how they received everyone's envy and blessings, Wen Han Lei felt as if 10,000 insects were gnawing on her heart. Wen Han Lei's wish was to ruin their reputations. Ning Shu was speechless. Ruin their reputations? Ning Shu felt that Bai Feifei was quite impressive to be able to conquer the hard-hearted Tang Yu. One had to know that Tang Yu had caused the death of Bai Feifei's father, but he still fell in love with Bai Feifei in the end. You're tuning in to the Passion Page's YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.